Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Hey, John, do you want to pause here and go off mic? I have something I really need to
okay.
tell
Yeah,
you.
hang on. I'll stop recording. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, man, your sister's a werewolf.
Oh, no.
But my best friend is a vampire.
Man, between the two of us, we know a lot of real-world monsters.
We should get these two together.
They're perfect for each other. No.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. All right. That's great. Yeah, just ignore that lull in the episode. Yeah, we are talking about 1987's My Best Friend is a Vampire.
What?
A kind of weirdly titled movie upon reflection, in that the title is from the perspective of the guy who's not the vampire, who isn't the main character of the movie. He's certainly in it, but he's not.
He's certainly in it quite a bit, but it is weird that the title suggests a focal point.
Now,
Suggests who is talking is the focus.
This was not the original title of the movie, though.
What was it?
The original title of the movie was I Was a Teenage Vampire.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that was what they wanted to call it. But the studio, for whatever reason, thought, nah.
That is so weird.
Because
it seems very random. They're
it's
both very similar.
It's narrated by our main character. It's entirely through his perspective, basically.
Yes, it is.
Where we open in his
narration,
subconscious. Yeah, it's truly I was a teen, and also that's got the play on I was a teenage werewolf, which is fun.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's the first. Now this, I mentioned this before, I think, on here, that this was a movie I very much enjoyed as a child and have not seen in many, much like Teen Wolf, actually. Although I've probably seen this one less than Teen Wolf. And I will say, watching this yesterday, I have about the same feelings as I do about Teen Wolf. I'd say that they're about the same quality. They're similar tones, certainly.
Yeah, very much so. I'd say Teen Wolf still wins simply because it has Michael J. Fox, who I will agree that tone is very similar, and overall impact is similar. I mean, Teen Wolf is no great film, but it's elevated by a central performance. This one has actors, in my opinion, that are better than the material. Also,
yeah, I mean, Robert Sean Leonard, he's not a Michael J. Fox, but to a similar degree, I think makes this movie infinitely more watchable than it could be.
Of course. He's great. And you have great people on the outskirts. Yeah. And I actually was very surprised by the best friend. I was like, this guy's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a better actor, though doesn't have as funny as stuff to do as what's his name? Styles from Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
I like this guy better.
Yeah.
But this movie is a smaller thing. It's just a smaller thing. And that's saying something, because Teen Wolf is not a
Well, it's interesting. It is and it isn't
movie.
Because this does do some of the stuff I was saying that Teen Wolf was missing, which is introducing a real antagonist. Even
if comedic, yes.
Even if comedic, but I'm saying there are more forgive the pun. There are more stakes in this movie than there were in Teen Wolf. Like in Teen Wolf, his life is never threatened in Teen Wolf.
Right. Teen Wolf does a magical realism thing. Well, so does this. But the Teen Wolf magical realism is that no one is instantly horrified by the existence. They're stunned that he's a werewolf, and then they immediately get over it. He's not picked up by government people. He's not thrown into a prison or a lab or something.
The thing that charms me about both of these movies is the casual monster.
Right, the casual monster.
That was what I remembered enjoying as a kid, and it's what I still enjoy as an adult. It is the going to get blood and having. I mean, I remember being so just guffawed by the having packaged bottles of blood that you would have to pull the tab off of, and I just remember as a kid going, that is as funny as a movie gets. Right there, that is gold. How has no one done this?
When they tap their cans together and say, "This blood's for you." Come on. Come on. Yeah. And for our younger listeners, that referred to a television commercial ad for Budweiser beer. This Bud's for you.
Yeah.
We have to explain
Next, we're going to tell you about the history of Spuds MacKenzie. I remember
He's a real party animal. That's Spuds.
We had that dog was everywhere. We had Spuds MacKenzie playing cards in my house. Like we played cards.
Nice.
We were on promotional Spuds MacKenzie playing cards. For
Wow.
years
Okay.
in my family.
We
love that party dog.
He was an English bulldog who knew how to party, wearing Wayfarer sunglasses.
Yeah. It was all
Anyway,
about the shades.
So
Much like this movie.
let's start off with the poster of this one. I like it.
Yeah, I really do like this poster actually. This is an example of a simple and cute poster and a poster that accurately portrays the tone of the movie it's advertising.
It portrays the tone. It doesn't give away any plot, and it's well illustrated enough to where it doesn't look like some half-assed thing.
Right.
So I gotta tip my hat. It's good. I think it's probably better than Teen Wolf, except for Teen Wolf has again Michael J. Fox looking right at us.
Yeah,
lowering those shades.
This is not selling. Robert Sean Leonard was not in between making this in a Back to the Future-esque hit.
Robert Sean Leonard in this movie is playing a high schooler, and not only do you believe him, you kind of think he might be a junior high schooler. Just because of his features and his build, he looks like he's 14.
He was even now to a certain extent, but I was gonna say he was always boyish. And
he has an elfin face, an elfin quality that even now as a past middle-aged guy, he still has.
I will say he was 18 when this movie came out.
Yeah, he does not look it.
Yeah, and he's 2 years out from his star-making turn in Dead Poets Society, where he's amazing.
Which just means that pretty much right out of the gate, and I can only assume, literally, we're talking high school into a major film career. He just had it. He was just a good young actor.
Always been an actor I've enjoyed. If he shows up in something, I'm like, oh, okay, this will be good. And he's certainly a guy
he gets pigeonholed very often because he radiates it. But there is a vulnerability and a sweetness to him.
Yeah.
And if you want to do sort of like, also coded possibly bisexual or gay, I mean, there's very much the sort of, he's a gentle man.
And that is used to incredible effect in Dead Poets Society. Like,
of course,
that was
the whole
tailor-made for him.
Heartbreaking in it.
Oh my
Jesus God.
That's a great movie, and
it's a great movie, and to for his performance to, stand next to the star of the show.
Yeah.
But it does. If you think about that movie, you of course
absolutely.
think about Robin Williams, but tell me you don't think about his character and the end of that character.
God,
Jesus.
it's still like Kurtwood Smith has played many a bad guy, but I hate him the most in Dead Poets Society.
Yeah, where he's not a cartoonish villain; he is a real world intolerant father.
Well, and then you look,
and you're like, wow, that can be a real villain.
Yeah, and then you look at his career. I mean, I remember loving the Kenneth Branagh Much Ado About Nothing, where he is a perfect Claudio, because once again,
he's
like
very good Claudio,
the young lover. That's great. That's a great use of him. So, and then of course, I was a huge fan of House MD, where he was Dr. Wilson, the Dr. Watson to House's Holmes. See what they did with the names there, folks?
No.
I don't follow. So yeah. Anyway, he's an actor I've always liked. He continues to pop up. He does a lot of TV these days. He'll do an arc on SVU, or he did the Anthrax miniseries just recently. Yeah. Anyway, he's certainly a guy who I always love to see and stuff. So
bottom line, we're fans.
We're fans, and that instantly brings this movie up a full letter grade, just him being the lead in it.
Because literally what's underneath him, and I'm not saying, there were actual moments that I saw in this movie where the script surprised me, or would have a decent line or a bit where I was like, that's good, and it wasn't just the actor saving it.
Right.
But what's weird is I would almost believe multiple people wrote it, only one did. It's just this person, he had little excellent moments, but the rest of it, there's so much stupid in this. There's so many dumb things.
I will say this movie, and especially looking at what writer Tab Murphy goes on to write, I gotta wonder if there was some studio meddling, and if maybe this is a PG film. I'm wondering if this was a PG-13 script that they brought down even more so to be family friendly. I'm not
What I
talking about that
find
this
is
was
so
like,
funny is that very early in the movie, they are not graphic, but they are certainly talking about sex much more realistically as adults would.
yeah,
And I'm sitting there going, they're in high school.
yeah.
Even my buddies and I, who were horn dogs, of course, we didn't talk like that. It's like, did you get any this weekend? Oh yeah, I fucked this chick in a closet or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, what? What are you? What? There
My
are moments where I'm going, I'm sorry, that's not realistic high school anything.
my buddies weren't talking like that because we all would have been lying if we ever said we got some in high school. So
Well, that's a way you could turn the joke too. It's them knowing they're lying and just going,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, man, I
well,
totally."
actually, the Robert Sean Leonard character I do kind of relate to in that he's just like, I don't know, the emptiness of sex seems not fun to me. I will say I did some research on this movie on the old Google there. This movie has a huge cult following in the queer community. There's a lot of queer reading of this film.
I think, well, one thing I could actually see why it would. I don't know about queer reading, as in what they're getting out of it. That's subtext, because the larger text is something we'll get into. But I actually do celebrate that this movie develops a mistaken but take on parents dealing with a child's homosexuality.
Yes.
And for 1987, it's very progressive.
When they
loved that.
When they made that jump to he's gay and then they accept it, I could not believe what I was watching from 87.
And actually, it made perfect sense to me that Fanny Flagg played one of those characters. We'll talk about it.
I've got to
I
talk
know what
about.
We're gonna get
I'm
on.
a big Fanny Flagg fan, but from something very specific.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about how weird Kismet and Destiny played a hand, because there's a bit player in this movie, a bit player that I had no idea was in it. And I was like,
didn't either.
What the hell?
This
person goes on. Let's not spoil it.
So much of my enjoyment of this movie is like, hey.
Yeah,
I didn't know some of these people were in it. The person I do remember being in it is my beloved Renee Auberjonois, because as a kid, I knew this as the vampire movie that Odo was in. And in fact, my dad, who is a big fan of this movie, or at least like not a big fan, but like
he's like, oh yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, it came on HBO, and I was a kid who kind of liked monster stuff. It's PG. I think he was like, oh, you'll like this, but I remember being like, Odo's in it, and Odo is not only do I love Deep Space Nine, but Odo specifically was my favorite character on Deep Space Nine. So.
Odo is a great character, and they happen to have a great actor doing it.
And also, you talk about, I mean, this thing is coming way up in letter grades. Also, continuing in that full letter grade, he's fucking great in this movie. He's
fucking great in this movie with again, not great dialogue, and a pretty dumb character, but he owns it. When he delivers something, there are a couple of great toss-off lines where I'm like going, Renee, you knew you had garbage. And it's similar with David Warner, who has
I mean,
dumb dialogue,
objectively slumming it here, right?
Does.
Like objectively slumming it of the group. Because like Robert Sean Leonard is not a known actor. Renee Auberjonois is a character actor who pops up in things. But David Warner legitimately could have done better than this, right?
One thing I cannot believe when we look at this is when I watched it was if I had known years ago, I had forgotten. This thing was shot in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
It has the look of, I'm not going to say independent, but it's very low budget.
Yeah.
The script's not amazing. And I just sit here going, how did these elements? The director did not have a huge, list of things. The screenwriter, this is his first thing.
Yep.
How does this movie, is it just money? How do they get a David Warner, a Renee Auberjonois, all these great character actors, including Fanny Flagg? How do you get them? Yeah. And then, up and coming, though, it's his first movie. Robert Sean Leonard's clearly going to go on to other things.
They lucked out big time getting him right here.
How do they get this? Because this feels like something that would have been like headlining the Houston Film Festival, because it was shot in town. And it would be all locals, and you would know everybody. Like, my friend playing the cop.
Yeah.
This does not feel like a studio release, but somehow they got these these actors. I just
was,
don't understand. I don't understand.
And here's what else. So all of this to say, it is dumb, it is slight, but I found this totally watchable and kind of enjoyable yesterday.
Yeah, spoiler alert for the end. I found it very breezy.
Yeah,
very
it's
breezy.
Cute.
Even when I was like, "Oh God, that's dumb," or "Oh God, that's stupid,"
but
I'm still carried on the charm of the people.
That's the thing. It's all in good humor. Like it's all
the
just
score is crap. The editing is not good because the pacing in this. You think comedy beats. You're like, you need to work on this editing, and it is awful.
But it's just so pleasant and harmless.
It's just so pleasant and harmless, and occasionally gives you a good line or a good scene between some. Because Robert John Leonard and his best buddy, they're a good pair.
Yeah, they are.
I think Cheryl Pollack is the dream girl. She's nerdy but is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God! When they panned her, I'm like, she's infinitely more attractive than the supposedly hottie girl. Like way more attractive.
Yes. She's the weak link acting wise, but this is also early.
Yes, she goes on to do a lot of stuff.
I had a crush on her back then, but it was strictly
this is
literally striking, and
this is literally the second thing she did though after a one episode guest appearance on Roomies.
And she was famous for a jeans commercial. Like that's where she got discovered. She did a Jordache jeans commercial.
I was looking her up. I'm going like, have I seen her in other stuff? Yes, I have. I mean, she certainly did a lot of TV in the 80s. I actually do remember the episode of 21 Jump Street she was on. Mainly because she's in the episode that Brad Pitt is in.
Oh wow,
which is interesting. And I was a big Jump Street.
I remember. I mean, Cheryl Pollack would keep popping up in the 90s.
Pump
and
Up the Volume though is a movie,
and I would go, "You are very cute," and I would watch her because she was in it. And then I go, "God, this is awful," and you're not a very good actor, but I like looking at you. I remember The Heights. That's the one I want to point out. The Heights is one of those. We want to be Melrose Place or Beverly Hills 90210. But we're all youngsters, pretty youngsters, diverse cast who are in a band together. And the fictitious band in The Heights had a top 10
I remember that song. Oh.
How do you talk to an angel?
That's it.
That one.
For some reason, I always mix that up with What If God Was One of Us, because it's kind of.
Well,
I know it's not, but but it is. How do you talk to? That lasted 13 episodes.
When you watch the one and only season of the Ben Stiller show,
Melrose Heights,
their parody of those shows, their characters in that also have a band and are badly lip syncing and badly fake playing.
That Todd was a robot.
Yeah, we thought that Todd was a robot.
They give him the lunch bag full of batteries.
Oh my God!
I'm not a robot, you guys.
Bob Odenkirk is a leather guy in high school, and they all think he's a robot.
The Ben Stiller show is like one of my absolute favorite comedy series ever. I have watched through that. I've seen those 13 episodes so many. I've memorized sketches from that. I love that show.
Okay,
I see
let's
she
go
went
back to the poster.
Well, yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say it's interesting. She did The Heights, then she tried to do something called Hotel Malibu that she was on that also didn't go. Before she finally did just end up on Melrose Place. Which adds up. And I also just want to mention one other movie she was in that I think is kind of underrated, and that is the Mike Binder film Crossing the Bridge.
Oh, I don't know it.
I like that. It's kind of a coming of age story. Yeah, 3 teenage friends in 70s. It's a Mike Binder movie who makes kind of, talky little things, but it's a young Josh Charles as the star of that, who I'm a big Josh Charles fan.
I love Josh Charles too, but I'm not familiar with this.
It's pretty good. And she was in Pump Up the Volume, where, as you said, she's very cute. But I'm sorry, I had a big crush on Samantha Mathis. So
no, here's the thing. If you watch Pump Up the Volume, all you remember is Samantha Mathis. So I didn't even recall that she was in it, and I've seen Pump Up the Volume many a time.
She had to just be like one of the
Cheryl
students
Pollack
in it.
is the other girl in it that I was always like, because
I've seen that
Samantha
movie many
Mathis. I want her to come back someday because I miss her.
And then I also love when they reteamed her and Slater in Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Like, we know this works. All right.
I saw Broken Arrow in the theater. Let's move on.
I love Broken Arrow, but my love of big studio action movies.
I do.
But
the poster is very simple. It's a row of lockers in a high school,
Yep.
all white lockers, but the one in the middle
Yep.
is black and shaped like a coffin.
But
That's pretty clever.
But it's still a locker, which I like. It still has the
still
slats
a locker,
and the
still
lock.
has all the
and
little
then
vents and
in
things.
front of it is two untied, kind of grubby looking like teenagers' tennis shoes.
Yep. And then vampires and teenagers are a lot alike. They're just misunderstood.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
My best friend is a
A
vampire.
dumb title.
My best friend's a vampire, and the V is a heart.
Yeah,
That's kind of a
playing
weird
up
choice.
the romance part of it, I guess.
Well, you know what actually would be a better title then is My Boyfriend is a Vampire. Even would be better in some ways.
Yeah, but she's not focal enough
No,
herself.
well, I don't know.
She's
She's probably in it as much as the best friend is, really.
Yeah, by the end.
Yeah. By the way, there are two alternate taglines.
Bring it.
With a friend like this, who needs enemies?
God damn, that's the most
Yeah.
generic, stupid. That's
And then,
terrible.
Brendan, here's another for your dating profile. This is a real simple
Okay.
one, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down.
Got blood?
That's great. That's gonna get me so much play.
This is how desperate I am. Literally, if you have blood, I'm in.
That has to have been a later one because
Yeah.
the got milk thing, those ads I think started in the 90s
It's
or
got
maybe
that's probably
late
video.
80s.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it here on a Blu-ray or on a DVD cover because I will say that I rented this movie. This movie has never been upsampled to high definition. I had to rent it in standard def. This thing is
Actually, the one I signed up for a free trial through Prime for a thing I've never. I think
Is
it's
it
like
the
movie
Tribeca?
something.
Is it the-
Movie,
It's on.
I
It's
can't
one of the
remember what it's
Prime
called.
Video channels. Yeah, I see that it's on there.
and it was a week free trial.
Yeah.
That version looked good.
Okay, all right. I rented it from YouTube, and it looked fine, but it was definitely standard definition. Like nobody has gone in and restored this thing.
Mm-hmm.
When will they? Damn it! Shout!
I know.
Somebody.
Trust me, listeners. You're not missing a damn thing, regardless, because they didn't do. There's the
No, it's
photography
pretty
in this
cheaply.
is also
It's pretty cheaply
everything's
shot.
basic. It looks amateurish, but not.
I don't know. I
not
even
shitty.
found that kind of charming in some ways, though.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, like the whole. I said somebody texted me. I was texting somebody about this yesterday, and they said, "Well, is it good?" I went, "Hey, it's cute. It's a
It is very
cute
cute.
movie. I
That's
don't,
a good way to put
like, yeah. It's like I said. It's. I mean, I see why like 7-year-old me loved it. Yeah,
Yes.
it's cute. It. You can show your kids this vampire movie, except
This
for the weird
is-
sex talk.
I mean,
at the
except
start.
for the sex talk and the fact
Which
that
actually goes away though, like after the first act. Weirdly.
It does, but that first act, in order for him to turn into a vampire, we essentially do have a cougar situation
Yeah.
of a predatory older woman
Ooh.
hitting on and then making love to essentially a 14-year-old boy. I know he's 18, but he looks so young in this movie. I
He
was
does.
very uncomfortable. I'm like, she should not be on top of him.
Yeah.
I'm calling Child Protective Services right now.
Can I pitch you this? Maybe. What about a Robert
All right,
Sean
I'm ready.
Leonard as a 1980s Spider-Man?
Oh, he would have been great. And in fact, he would have been a great Ditko-esque because he's very thin here,
Yeah,
too.
that's what
He
I
would
mean.
have been
just,
a very perfect,
just the
gawky
just
Peter
the,
Parker.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Just physically, I totally see it. He looks kind of like the drawing. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think about that until right. I mean, we're just talking about how he looks younger, even younger than he is.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Let's dive into the movie here. Yeah, we open with a weird sex dream.
Yeah.
Where it starts with him playing tuba in the band, but he doesn't know
Yes.
how to play the tuba.
Right.
And the other thing that's weird about this movie, early on they established like, well, there's the hot girl who likes him, but he likes the, once again, objectively much hotter, nerdy girl. And
that
also
is so
she looks so good with that like 80s short haircut too.
I have to admit, because she had various hairstyles and all the things I saw her in,
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Pollack. This, I had forgotten. She had the perfect, if you like an 80s look,
Yeah.
this is perfect. That
Yeah.
short hairdo on her looks great,
does.
especially with those glasses, which are supposedly the nerdy, ugly part
Once
of her.
again,
I'm
they
like,
make
she
her look
looks
better.
amazing.
Yeah. It is like when they go like, "There's the pretty girl," but for some reason I like this girl. I'm like, well, because she's stunning.
The only thing that doesn't work, of course, are the '80s fashions. I
Well,
love
yeah.
at one point where he grabs her, like her by the shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
and you see those shoulder pads
Yeah.
in her shirt, not a
Yeah.
jacket, but just in her shirt. You see them flop over. I'm going because in the '80s you had basically like armored epaulets of shoulder pads that go out
No, she
18
has
inches.
she has no body in this movie. Period. It's just a shape on a it's clothing across the shoulder pads and down.
It's very 80s, as in a lot of sort of blousey things,
Yeah.
and then the nerd thing is have a vest on top of
Yes.
a blousey
Yes.
thing. They are trying to dress her down because she, of
Yeah,
course,
and you know what I do like is they never do the standard teen cliche of when she gets gorgeous. Like they have her
no,
dress
they
up
don't. They
more
don't have a
on
scene
the dates.
where she steps out and she's changed.
Yeah.
But the thing is they didn't convince us that she was
No.
unattracted to begin with.
Lord,
so
no.
we just think that everyone in that high
I
school
can't
is
even
stupid.
remember what the other girl looks like, but that also brings me to this point, which
She's
is
blonde.
yeah, she is blonde, but so is Cheryl Pollock.
No,
Or at
she's
lea-
redhead.
Yeah, I guess she is more. She's like a strawberry blonde, though. I mean, she's not they set up this beginning like it's going to be some sort of Betty and Veronica thing, but almost instantly he's just after Cheryl Pollock. It's pretty much. It's weird that they're like, I got two girls and I'm looking back and forth between them. They dropped that so fast.
Well, we barely get mentions of the popular girl. The other girl character that steps in is Cheryl Pollock's friend, who seems to be quasi-popular herself, but she's the one going, why do you like that guy? Or that guy's staring at you again? He's a weird freak guy.
Yeah.
So she has like a best buddy.
Yeah.
Basically trying to
Gloria?
keep her away from people.
Is that Gloria? Is that character, I think? Or Flo?
I don't remember the character
I
name.
couldn't tell you either. Anyway, then neither one of them has IMDb pictures, so that doesn't help.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, he has this weird dream.
They do play up the hot one who has almost no dialogue in this movie except for right at the beginning. In IMDb, she gets played up because she went on to be like a Real Housewife of Dallas.
I see that because I'm going like, yeah, Leanne Loughlin.
And I'm like, no one remembers her in this movie. There's
And
no
she
point
was,
in-
I see she was Texas local. She was from Pasadena, Texas.
Sure, Pasadena. It's a big state.
Yeah.
Pasadena is nowhere near where they're shooting.
I didn't know there
still.
was a Pasadena. I know Pasadena, California. I did not know about Pasadena, Texas.
Oh, you sweet summer child that you don't know these
I've
things.
never set foot in the state of Texas, to be fair. So
Well, it's all right. Someday I'll take you down there. I'll
Yeah,
show you
good.
around. It's great,
Yeah.
great big old state. Great
yeah,
big old state.
yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Do I need a giant belt buckle and a big old Stetson when I? Is that
You do not.
Yeah,
the
red then.
belt buckle would the Stetson would get you big laughs. Now here's the thing. As I was talking about to John, and it is again, I just forgot. This is where I lived, and in fact, I was there. I was in Houston while they're doing this, and I'd totally forgotten this. Usually, if you're living somewhere like Houston and they shoot a studio film, everybody, even people out in the suburbs, know that there's a movie shooting in town. It's exciting. But as a teenager, because this would have been shooting in 86, got released in 87, I was a junior in high school. I probably should have heard about this. Had no idea. Then I watched this last night, and it was just a real big trip down memory lane for me. It was really crazy.
They shot a movie in my hometown, like literally. I mean, they shoot a lot of movies in Portland, but literally, like in my suburban town, they shot a movie when I was in high school. Do you remember? No one remembers this because it's a totally forgettable thriller. The movie Untraceable with Diane Lane, where it's a
I do.
online
I didn't
serial
watch it, but I
killer.
remember its existence.
They shot that literally in my tiny little suburban town. They shot a lot of it there, and like literally, my friend and I would like camp out above on a hill and just watch them shoot the movie from a distance.
Because that's it's exotic. It's something new that's hit town. So it just surprised me that because in his bedroom when we're in the character's bedroom and he's got posters and he's got all kinds of things. He has a poster of the Houston skyline that has all this crazy sort of laser light and stuff on it, and that's from Rendezvous Houston, which was this big multimedia event where the French composer Jean-Michel Jarre did a live concert and shot projections and lasers on all the skyscrapers. It was turning the entire city into a big thing. It was covered on MTV. I was there in the front row on the ground watching that thing. It was crazy. And in his bedroom, he has a poster up from Rendezvous Houston. I was like,
Wow.
holy shit.
That's a real local touch for this movie.
Oh,
like, to put
my
that,
God.
To put that on the set. You know, I mean, like, not
drop
just
references constantly. For some reason, his mother listens to the police radio. Did they ever explain why she did that other than speed traps?
When it first started, I thought, oh, so she's a cop? And
I thought it would have something to do with that, but it's just whenever the best friend comes in and goes, where are the speed traps today, Mrs. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, over on blah, blah, blah. Every time they mention an intersection and a street,
it's real.
I'm like, Allen Parkway.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're like, oh, over on Fountain.
Wow.
All right, Fountain, got it. I was just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, this is the most Houston-y thing I've seen in a long time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I zoomed in on one shot, and I saw my ex-girlfriend in the bed. No.
I was looking to see,
anyway.
like, did the writer come from Houston? No?
No, apparently not. But when they decided to tailor it to whatever location, they certainly did. That high school looked a lot like my high school, but that's actually the way a lot of suburban Texas high schools
this movie was
look.
shot in Houston and La Pointe.
La Pointe. I think that's where the high school is.
Yeah,
I was looking at that thing.
Or
Going,
I'm sorry, La Porte, not La Pointe.
Yeah. Oh wait, yes, it is La Porte.
Yeah.
But those sort of grayish brown, very basic 1970s, 1980s looking, just long, flat high school buildings in the middle of nothing with flat around. I'm like, yep, that's it right there. But anyway,
so moving past this opening dream, the only thing we really know from it is all the girls disappear and this mysterious older woman appears in the dream.
Yes, in that dream, he is torn between school hottie and school nerd, who isn't really that nerdy, but is Cheryl Pollack. And then they do all disappear, but then there's a mysterious woman coming after him.
Mm-hmm. And this is who will be our sexy vampire here, Cecilia Peck, playing Nora the vampire.
Yeah, Cecilia Peck, the famous.
I don't know her from...
No, I don't.
She's in stuff. She's in some stuff. She's in Killing Zoe. I like that movie.
Killing Zoe, yeah.
Yeah, all right. But I don't remember her in it. But I like that movie. Okay, so anyway, he wakes up and it's he comes downstairs, breakfast with his family, and yes, I did not know this. I was delighted when his mother was Fanny Flagg. I am a huge Match Game fan. Like, I have watched hours upon hours upon hours of old Match Games, and Fanny Flagg was a regular. I will have to show it to you. It's not a visual medium. I have a magnet on my fridge of Fanny Flagg because I have.
Do you really?
I have all the panelists from Match Game. I have little drawings that I got on Etsy of
Fanny
each of
Flagg. Oh, that's great. Fanny Flagg was to Match Game what Paul Lynde was, and then later on Gilbert Gottfried, R.I.P., to Hollywood Squares, like the Ringer. Fanny Flagg, for those who don't know her, comedic actress,
novelist,
and I don't know if she did stand up, but she was a comedian of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
and she became a novelist. Yeah, and she became a novelist who wrote several successful books. She wrote I don't know. She had them coming out not too long ago.
She's still alive. She's still writing to this day.
Yeah. But she wrote Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, which became the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, and we will save a little zinger about that till later.
Yeah.
I know, big holy God.
Couldn't,
but I like her too.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's
she's
what a charming presence always. Like, she just and all adds
she did
to
her
the
Southern charm thing very well. She's the big Southern charm,
and no one else is Southern in the movie, of course.
It's weird that a movie shot in Houston, Texas, and they talk all about it being Texas, and there's maybe two people in this movie that have traces of Southern or Texas accents.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, guys. His best friend is totally like, "Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
How you doing? We got to get in the car, get to work.
Hey, go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Ooh, you wouldn't say that in Houston.
Oh, no, because what do you...
It would have been the Oilers at the time.
Now it's the Texans, right?
The Texans. The Oilers went away.
Go Texans, man. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, go Texans.
What not? Come on.
And yeehaw, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
At this point, he would have gone, love you blue, which was the big thing for the Oilers. But anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah. So he comes. He's here to pick him up because he drives between the two of them, but yet later they're in driver's ed. I didn't follow that.
Yes, that's very strange. Unexplained. He drives them to school every morning.
Yeah.
But they seem to also be taking driver's ed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
it's just so they can do a driver's ed bit. Also,
maybe you still had to take it even if you had. He probably has a driver's permit, but even then, I don't know.
They wouldn't be driving on their own if he
No.
had a permit. Though, so it doesn't make sense. It's a plot hole. Whatever. So anyway, they get to school, and this is where the buddy's like, "Here's your problem, man. You gotta get laid. All right, you gotta get a girl."
Yeah, Robert Sean Leonard plays a character named Jeremy Capello, because Capello also a name you'd hear. No, I'm just joking. Houston's a big melting pot city. You'd have Italians and but he's Jeremy and his buddy is Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
And Ralph is basically your typical, I'm the kind of funny, horny, we got a party.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure
you're the
Willie
uptight
Ames
one, but we're
passed
best
on this
buddies.
part. Yeah, this seems like once again like Willie Ames and Zapped.
It's kind of like that, but he
or
is.
Styles.
Like they go to school.
In Teen Wolf was a little bit like that. Yeah,
very much like Styles. So you got the party guy, and the party guy is telling his nerdy friend, like, "To get laid, you got to get some, you know."
And of course,
I'm like, "What grade are they in? Are they seniors? Maybe, I guess."
Nah, because they're like in drive. They got to be like juniors. Because I put them at like 16.
I think they're supposed to be kind of like 17, but it doesn't matter.
16, 17, yeah.
It's like they don't seem to be talking as they should for their age.
No, all of a sudden he's talking like fucking Jim Belushi about last night. Like,
yeah. But Jeremy is the more sensitive of the two, and he sure does like the girls, but he's like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Which is once again very much how I relate to being as a teenager. I was like,
sure.
I don't know. I mean, they're also.
I hope they'll let me touch their boobs someday.
Yeah, I would be the guy going, I don't know. She seems real nice.
I like that they try to give him a visual arc too, because here in the beginning, not only does he look young, they've given him almost a bowl cut. They've combed his hair in a very unflattering, even in the 80s. He would have gone, maybe he is a nerd because of this haircut. Then later, when he's a vampire, they're doing it like flipping it back, and he's like, see, I'm cool now.
You mean when his
and I've got
so
my
bright,
collar popped.
You mean when his future's so bright he's got to wear shades?
Oh, they spent, I think, the entire budget of this movie on Rene Auberjonois, I'm going to screw his name up, and David Warner. That's where half of it went. Mm-hmm. The other half was getting the rights to One Way or Another by Blondie, and Timbuk3's My Future's So Bright, I Gotta Wear Shades.
They play it twice in the movie, so they really got their money's worth on that.
And one Oingo Boingo song, but not one of the great ones. I think they probably got that one at a discount.
For cheap. Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's a Danny Elfman.
Like, okay, all right.
Anyway, so he's in class, and literally, I mean, this is where you're dealing with not amazing filmmaking. He's literally staring at the nerdy girl, then staring back, and he's like, gee, I don't... This is where you get very Archie, right? Like, I don't know which girl I should ask out.
Literally, the two women in his dream are sitting on either side of him across aisles, and he is just looking at one, then he looks at the other.
Yeah.
I would love to have the director go, see, it's like you can't make up your mind.
Yeah.
I got it, director. I got it. Thanks. That's great.
Doing his best with it. I do. I mean, it is cute then when the nerd girl passes a note. It says, quit staring, creep.
Well, in his dream, she had passed him a note, and it said something else or whatever. There was a note passed in the dream, and this looks like the dream's coming true because she writes something and sends it to him. Mm-hmm. But when he opens it, it's not romantic. It's saying, stop staring at me, you creep.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that's not going well. So let's follow him. Now it's after school. He's going to his job. He's a grocery delivery boy. Oh, boy, that's an idyllic teenage small town job, right? Like,
yeah.
And you've even got this character who never really comes back, the kindly owner of
by the way,
store.
which means that he also is driving on his own. Doesn't need his best buddy for this, but he's still taking driver's ed. Anyway,
but we never get this guy again. It seems like he's going to be a character, the like kindly old man that owns the grocery store. Also, like the kind of Madonna-looking girl who's up at the register that he has like a banter with. She also just disappears. whatever this was, I don't know if this was a bigger part of the script or there are other scenes that got cut with them, but it seems like the grocery store had characters, and then we never come back here again.
Yeah, no. You just wonder why the setup at all.
Yeah.
Because this has, I mean, it's color.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he has all these interesting people in his life, but there's nothing to it.
Yeah. No, exactly.
It doesn't pay off. Why is it there?
I don't understand. Now, keep in mind, remember, we talked about this. This movie opens just 1 week after Near Dark. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I know. I know.
And Lost Boys is still in theaters at this point. So you have 3 pretty different vampire movies.
You have 3 very different vampire movies
that you could go to. And you went, as we established, you went to the other 2, but not to this one, even though this was a hometown picture.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Had no idea this was a hometown flick.
So they say, hey, because they're joking around about how he only delivers to these old people who need their adult diapers and their Metamucil. And he's like, well, I got a big one for you. This goes up to that creepy old mansion in town.
He's like, what? That place is condemned. No one lives there. He's like, well, this is it. And he starts looking through the bags. He goes, oh, hey, there's no depends. There's none of that stuff. He goes, yeah, it might be younger person.
And
the old man gives him a wink, like, might be a chick who'll have sex with you.
Yeah, because them grocery delivery boys are always just getting banged. Yeah, on Cinemax after 2 a.m. that happens.
Yeah.
So he goes up to deliver to the old mansion. And in classic like vampire movie fashion, he knocks on the door. It just opens,
Yep.
He steps inside. There's a cat who bites him.
There's a black cat, and he goes out to pet it, and he's like, hello, is anyone here?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a cat, and he puts his hand out, and the cat bites him, and he goes, ow, and it runs off.
Yeah.
And, of course, that means his finger's bleeding.
Yeah.
And then Sexy Lady
from his
shows
dream.
up.
Literally the woman from his dream.
Yep, literally the woman from his dream.
As he tells his
up.
friend later, it's like my literal dream girl. That's weird.
And she walks out of exactly where the cat was. So it's like, I wonder if... but anyway, and she's like, thanks for bringing the groceries, and you're such a charming young man. Oh, you've hurt yourself. It's that whole thing. He's like, oh, yeah. He goes, and she goes, my mother used to do something whenever I had a boo-boo. She'd kiss it.
Yeah.
And she kisses his finger and then starts kind of sucking on it. And then it's his performance, but the line's pretty funny. He's dazed, but he goes, my mom puts a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah. Really good. Really good. Robert Sean Leonard, once again, just really nice, underplayed, straight man joke.
Suck on my finger, and I'm just going to say something really dumb.
By the way, this Cecilia Peck, who she directed not the HBO but the Stars documentary about the Nexium cult, Seduced Inside the Nexium Cult.
What?
She was the producer and director of that.
Wow. I mean, I'm glad that she found work elsewhere, because she's not great in this.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, she's very sexy, but her line readings are really awful.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she found something to do.
That's pretty good.
And that got great reviews. I only saw the other one. I didn't see that one.
I haven't seen this one either, but this is the one that she must have.
A lot of the
knew
reviews
Catherine
on that one
Oxenberg.
were saying this one's the one people really wanted, because this is the one that gets into the more salacious details.
Well, this is the more singular, like one person's experience, so you really get more, I think, firsthand accounts. Whereas the HBO documentary is a great overview. I think they work in tandem together really well, from what I get.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story, so maybe someday I will revisit.
Yeah. So anyway, she shows up, and boy, oh boy, she is all over him, and she goes, "Can you come back at midnight tonight?"
Yeah, it's very interesting. This is in broad daylight, by the way.
Yeah.
So even though we've got our radar up for vampirism, she's walking around in this mansion, but it's day.
Inside, and the shades are drawn, so I mean,
That's true. But she's like, will you come back later?
Yeah.
And come on. And as his best friend says, as Ralph says, he's like going, why do you think she's inviting you back?
Yeah.
She wants to bone you. And he's like, I don't know if I should go.
And he's right. That is weird. Like, why?
It is weird.
Yeah. Also,
but
maybe
basically
a crime?
she's saying, if you come back, I will have sex with you.
Yeah. After she did really suck that blood, though, out of his finger.
She really did.
So, once we come back, he's like, you gotta go for it.
Yeah, the
in
buddy's
fact,
like, the buddy's like,
on,
I
man."
don't know what your problem is. And he
Yeah.
goes, I'll even drive you.
Yeah. And then I got to drop you off, and then I got to go meet Vinny Barbarino and the Sweat Hogs.
We are overstating, and he's not that bad, but there is a
Wow.
tone to his voice, and the
Bah.
accent is there. I'm like, you're an East Coastie.
Yeah.
Why are you in Houston?
He's going, I gotta go home and get some gabagool.
I gotta get some gabagool. I'm gonna top it with Wolf Brand chili, and then I'm gonna go out to, the shit kicker bar, because I love that shit. It's great. I'm gonna go to Gillies, because I've been looking for love in all the wrong places.
He's got his whole... I do like that he is Mr. Party Animal sex guy, yet we always see him blow it every single time. Women are disgusted by him.
Well,
So
the most problematic part of this very light movie, this is a light movie, it can't really offend,
Yeah.
but it was shot in 1987. When he gets vampire powers, when his friend gets vampire powers, he basically just says, use them to seduce women for me using hypnosis. And that's problematic.
That is problematic. The movie manages to steer out of that mostly by having him
Because
not
his powers
work
are
at
not,
the thing.
he,
I did, because I did think, oh boy, where is this going? And then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it doesn't work. Good. But
and it
definitely
doesn't
makes
work
the
on
butt,
Cheryl Pollock either. For
which
half a
is
second, he thinks it
kind of a
does, and
cute.
then-
Once again, it's cute. They make it a cute scene.
Yeah, but it is where the 1980s male brain was going. Dude,
Yes.
if you suddenly have vampire hypnotism, you'd just be telling chicks to get
The
with you.
aforementioned Zapped. Good Lord, talk about a
Yeah.
problematic movie. Jesus Christ.
I have the powers of an X-Man, and I'm going to use them to make bras pop off.
It's too late. I've seen everything. He's basically pitching Zapped.
I thought that watching that skit.
Okay, so his buddy drives him over there, and then this is where we meet not Professor Van Helsing, but Professor Leopold McCarthy and his sidekick Grimsdyke, also a very good character actor, Paul Wilson, who you've seen in a million things.
They stacked the deck on the sides.
Oh, of course.
Even Jeremy's dad, Kenneth Kimmins, you see that guy, you instantly know who he is.
Yes.
He's been in a million things.
Yes.
These are good character actors in a not very good movie. You just sit there going, what is this?
Okay, I'm looking at this guy, Paul Wilson, of course. I'm a huge It's Gary Shandling show fan. He was in 47 episodes of that and 55 episodes of Cheers. I definitely know him as Paul from Cheers.
Yeah, Paul from Cheers.
And I distinctly remember him from an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Where he's a food critic who Larry's trying to impress since Larry's opening a restaurant, and he ends up breaking his thumbs in a supposedly friendly dodgeball game. It's very funny. So anyway, that's of course that's where my mind immediately goes, because I am a diehard Curb Your Enthusiasm fan.
Yes, indeed.
So anyway, and oh boy, he has a real loser of a part in this thing, but he is doing his best with it. He's
doing his best
of the
because
most embarrassing comedic work in it.
Yeah, he's looking at the he's looking at that script, and he's going, God, I wish this were funnier.
Yeah.
The ideas are desperate. I will do my best.
We know this guy can be hilarious from all of his other appearances. I mean, he goes back.
But he can't save some really dumb writing.
No, I mean, this guy goes back to the Goodbye Girl and stuff. I mean, he worked with
I know
Neil Simon, and I mean, he's been around forever at this point. And he's going.
He may be immortal.
Yeah, he is still alive. Believe it or not. Actually, so is David Warner. David Warner is very old and still with us. So
I can't believe, but I'm glad. I hope he's having a good end of life experience, because David Warner gave me much joy.
I guess he's only 80. He always seemed old.
His face tends to go that way.
Yeah. He's still doing voice work on Teen Titans Go. So, he does a lot of voice work. He was in Mary Poppins Returns. He's still working.
All right.
And of course, I know him and love him from Tron. Tron was a big childhood favorite of mine.
Oh, is he in that?
Don't know. And also, speaking of Odo, David Warner is 3 separate characters in the Star Trek universe.
He did lots of Star Trek.
Yeah, he was in Star Trek 5 and 6 as different characters. And then he's in one of the best 2-parters of Next Generation, where he's the Cardassian that tortures Picard.
That's true.
4 lights!
Oh,
stuff.
boy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Don't get me
I'm
started.
sorry, the moratorium on Next Generation it starts. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's tough. But well, you said Next Generation because Odo's coming up, so I can go despeak now. By the way, in my notes, I did not catch his name till later, but I do call him Odo in my notes. But yeah. So,
Well, how could you not know his name? It's MODOK.
it is MODOK. Yeah. I can't remember when he says it. I think he doesn't say his name immediately.
He's a mechanized organism designed only for killing.
Well, this MODOK, it ends with a C apparently, though. So
okay.
So yeah. So he's.
But come on, this writer was a comic nerd.
100%.
He was like, I need something that sounds exotic and vampire-y.
This is a guy who goes This is a guy who goes on to write DC animated adaptations of comics. There's no, you don't write the Batman Year One because it's like a cartoon as a
no one
gig.
handed this to you and you're like, what is this now?
Yeah.
No, he knew what he was doing.
No, he also did the Superman Batman Apocalypse movie, which is great. Mainly because it has Andre Braugher voicing Darkseid, which is a fucking great choice.
Perfect choice.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he goes over and they're in this van observing this thing.
Yeah, they're looking at the they're coming to the mansion.
Yeah.
And Ralph has brought Jeremy there.
Yeah.
Jeremy goes in. He's kind of dressed up, and she's like,
he goes in, and as Grimsdyke, the sidekick, goes, well, shouldn't we stop him? And it's David Warner's like, no, he's already lost whatever he's doing. Yeah,
it's pretty grim. He goes at this point, it doesn't matter if he's already been turned or not. He goes, yeah, there's no saving him.
Yeah.
Well, you're a sucky Van Helsing at that.
He is, as we find out through the movie. This guy's awful.
He is awful.
And actually, this continues their whole banter where Grimsdyke's always like, maybe we, don't kill people?
Yeah, Grimsdyke is always, he's very gung-ho, but then he always kind of says, I don't want to hurt anybody. It's kind of... That's a cute way to do it.
I want all the fun of vampire hunting without any of the actual, killing. Yeah. Which actually I could get on board for that. I just like the idea of hunting down vampires. I don't necessarily want to stake anybody.
I think that that our professor here, Professor McCarthy, he gets off so easy at the end.
I'm not saying
does. That he's horrible, but at the end they're just like, well, we're going to sentence you to having a immortal life of pleasure.
Yeah, by the way, he basically gets to have like a 8-way with these hot vampire women. And then he's like, hey, man, I'm all about that vampire life now.
When we get to the hot vampire women at the very end, they are dressed like they are going to prom. It was cracking me up. It's not like the graveyard dress you expect of vampire brides.
They seem to, I think that was the idea, obviously, was they're dressed like the brides of Dracula, but no, it's very...
But no, they look like they are on their way to a spring fling.
Yeah. Also, you talk about getting turned fast in this thing. Good Lord.
Holy crap. And including the scene we're about to have where Jeremy gets it. It's an instantaneous thing.
Yeah, because he's in bed with the woman there, and he's got his clothes off, and
Sexy Nora basically said, oh, well, they're about to have sex, and Jeremy goes, oh my God, this is happening. And he goes, I don't even know your name. And she goes, Nora. And he goes, isn't that your cat's name? Because she had told him the cat. And she goes, yeah, man. What about it?
No, she goes, sure, whatever. Like, I love it. Like,
sure, whatever.
Like, well, sure, whatever. I don't care, man. Let's do it.
And so they're about to have sex, I guess, but she leans in and she bites him.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then just as she's bitten him is when Professor McCarthy and Grimsdyke bust in with their crossbow.
So this means she didn't even drain him. I think she literally just bit him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she even got any blood out of the deal.
Well, they want to make it like a sexually transmitted disease,
they do,
right?
Talking about you've been infected.
Also, they talk about the difference later between vampires and living vampires. Morbius.
I know. When that popped up, I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, that was when I was sure we were dealing with a comic book nerd writing this. Because we are living vampires.
He's like, "Hey, how come we're out in the sun?" And he's like, "Well, the sun's not our friend, but wear some sunscreen and some shades, you'll be fine."
He's
like,
so
"That doesn't
bright.
make any sense."
We gotta wear shades. I thought it was weird that they had Aubergenois sing that, but
it is strange. But that guy had the training; he could bring.
He did. I mean, he did. He was was, you know, he
He was
Broadway
a
dude.
show guy. He
Oh
was a
yeah,
stage guy.
he was just one of those guys who could do anything. One of those
Yep.
character actors who could be funny or serious or evil or good or mean or nice, anything really.
You know what? We were robbed that he and Joel Grey never did like a two-man show.
Oh my God, that would have been something.
Talk about two guys who could do anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Still R.I.P. Still super bummed we lost him recently.
I know. But talk about a good long life and a lot of triumphs.
No question about that. This guy worked consistently forever.
And he survived one of the most egregious bits of Yellowface that has ever been portrayed in cinema.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm surprised he was able to work after Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins.
Yeah. Oh wait, you're talking about Joel Grey. I'm talking about
yeah,
Renee
that's what I was talking about.
I was still talking about Renee Auberjonois.
No, as far as I know, Renee Auberjonois never did. Wait, is
Joel Grey's still with us? He's still with us. Yeah, I just saw him.
Oh my God!
He was just in Lin-Manuel Miranda's movie Tick Tick Boom.
Well, then Renee Auberjonois, as far as I know, never did Yellowface. So,
I don't think so. Yeah. No, I do agree that now, well, now it wouldn't happen, but that would be the end of anybody now. Certainly.
Yeah, talk about cancel culture. If Remo Williams was out now and people are going, is that a Caucasian man under a bunch of latex pretending to be an ancient Vietnamese or Japanese gentleman?
All of a sudden, any controversies about Doctor Strange go out the window.
Yep.
Yeah, so he runs off because he thinks this is her husband come home. And
Jeremy books it because he thinks, I'm going to get caught by the husband. So he leaves, and he doesn't even have his clothes. He just wraps himself in a bed sheet, runs outside while Professor McCarthy and Grimsdyke are after the vampire lady. And as far as we know, they get her
because we hear her scream from inside. Yeah, and then they come out and go, well, that's all done. And then the building explodes the house explodes behind them.
Yeah, because apparently it wasn't enough that they believe they staked her. They also set the place ablaze, and it goes boom, which also makes it very clear that was a false front set.
Oh God, yeah. The way it does not like structurally explode. It's just the front windows of the house blow out, and that's it.
Yeah. And you're like going, that is not one thing. That's not a building anywhere in Houston, Texas. But I was like going, that was a pretty decent job for a community theater production.
Yeah, no,
I almost believe that was real creeping ivy up the side of it.
It's clear they're not working with a lot of money in this movie.
No.
And so yeah, as they're driving back, this is Ralph is like, "Hey, buddy, there, you're bleeding." That's and he goes, "Oh yeah, she bit me." And he's like, "Ho ho, real wild one you get, eh?"
It's a typical thing. It's like going, "Whoa, things got out of control. You don't even have your pants."
Yeah, look out, man. And Robert Downey is just going like, "Yeah, not fun. I could have been killed," you know. And he's just going like, "Oh man."
It's like, I think her husband showed up, but so Ralph drops him off. He goes in, and crashes.
Yeah.
Does he have another crazy dream? I can't remember if there's another crazy dream.
No, when he gets home, suddenly he looks outside and there's like all of the neighborhood dogs have gathered on his front lawn,
yeah.
And they're barking. And this is where we see MODOK across the street for the first time. But then when he looks again, he's gone. He's like, huh?
Yeah, we see a mysterious figure in a kind of trench coat.
Man, MODOK got there quick. Like within like an hour of him being bitten, MODOK is in Houston, Texas.
Yeah. And must have just been like, oh, Nora's going to do something, and I may as well be there to help out whoever gets turned.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then when he comes downstairs, he the next morning, he doesn't want to eat anything. He has no appetite, and he seems pale, and he's kind of freaked out. And everybody's like, "What, are you sick? I don't understand." And hey,
feeling all right?
And hey, come on, where the street traps, Mrs. Capello?
Yeah. Ralph shows up. The thing is, he shows up every morning. It just walks into their house, which actually, that is my suburban teen
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Your friends would just walk into your house.
100% same here.
He
Yeah.
walks in the breakfast and he picks up breakfast and just starts eating it. And the parents don't care. They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Ralph."
Hi, Ralph.
And he goes, "Where are the speed traps today?" Well, they're here. And then he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Let's go, Jeremy." Jeremy's like, I don't know. I'm going to stay. I'm not
the
feeling
speed
well.
traps thing is weird. I will say that from a screenwriting math standpoint, they use both the speed traps and her listening to the radio as story points.
It pays off,
Yeah.
but unfortunately,
it doesn't make sense, I'm saying.
No, it doesn't make sense. The problem is it pays off, but it looks retroactive. It looks like,
yeah.
oh, they'll know where he is because they listen to a police band.
And they also-
Why they listen to police band, we don't have to worry about it, but we
Yeah.
can introduce it early in the movie.
I don't understand why the dad couldn't at least, like, just put him in a police uniform and I have no questions.
Sure.
And he has a police radio in the house or something.
Yeah, but they've got it. They just listen to the police band at
Yeah,
home. That's great.
And, like, in the evening, they're just sitting in their living room giving a listen to the police band. Like, that's what they do. They're
Yeah,
not
when we
watching
get to
TV.
that important scene later, like, really? This is how they spend the evening?
Yeah.
They sit on the couch and the police band's playing? What the fuck?
Hey, there's some vagrants loitering down at the soda shop. Ooh.
Quick, let's get in our station wagon.
Oh,
Go
do you
find
think they're like crime scene looky-loos? And they
They
show
might
up
be.
wherever. Ooh, there's an arson. We better go check it out.
We might see some crispy critters.
So yeah, he seems anyway, then we have to get a whole he sees the headline that the mansion has been blown up.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, wait, I was just there last night. I
think he tells Ralph, it's like, dude, you don't seem to understand. This wasn't cute. We could be convicted in a crime or they might
Right.
find that we did it. So that's also a screenwriter thing to set up. They become paranoid about being followed by the police.
Mhm.
So they start believing that the white van that's following them, which
Yeah.
we know is Professor McCarthy,
Yeah.
they think is some sort of undercover police
Yeah.
detectives on their trail.
So we have to
Or something.
Yeah, then we cut to Professor McCarthy who's talking to Grims.
No, he thinks MODOK is a cop. He knows
Yes.
that he thinks that those are Nora's husband again or whatever.
Right. We cut to Professor McCarthy in Grimsdyke, and he's explained to him, like, by the year 2000, vampires will overrun the population of this planet, and I must
He's
stop
like,
the
here's the
spread.
infection rate. By this point,
Yeah.
it's up to us to stop the spread of vampirism, and they're making stakes, and they're making specifically stakes to be fitted on a crossbow and shot.
Which is
and
cool.
the gag is that Grimsdyke is a terrible shot, and then McCarthy, pretty cool badass shot, is that he just isn't even looking, and he uses one hand and just lifts his arm, and he delivers a line, and he of course shoots a bullseye because apparently he knows how to fire a crossbow. Like,
I mean, I do love a stake on a crossbow. Like, that is one of the coolest things. We talked about it in well, I guess it wasn't a crossbow. We talked about it on a bow and arrow in Monster Squad, and it ruled. So anyway, then we cut to the high school, and Darla, who's our nerdy girl, her friend is trying to get her to date somebody. What about this guy? I could set you up with him. And then, boy, a sign of the time, and she goes, "What about Tom Cruise?" And she's like,
she goes, I could probably work him in.
Put him down as a maybe.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, because I think it was 86 was Top Gun, so he's white hot at this point.
Yeah, he's already done Risky Business and Top Gun. Are you kidding?
Yeah, he's on fire, and he certainly was a hunk of hunks at this time.
The tiniest little hunk you could ever want.
I don't know, man. I still think Michael J. Fox might claim that, but
that's true.
Yeah, because he was on like Tiger Beat and stuff like that, and that dude's like 5'4".
But he was never a hunk. He was
cute.
Dreamy.
He was dreamy boy next door. I think Tom Cruise actually kind of straddled that line between hunk and dreamy a little bit.
Yeah,
Anyway, now he's just
that's for our other podcast.
Now he's just beloved crazy guy. So anyway, yeah. But of course we know she's gonna end up dating our boy Robert Sean Leonard. And I do love the professor. This guy knows no bounds. He just rolls up on this high school and he goes, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get this kid in broad daylight on school grounds."
So here's the thing: they think
trying
that
to
Ralph
take
is
aim.
the vampire because they saw Ralph's car, which this did also. All the neighborhoods they're shooting in Houston are like River Oaks. So they're shooting in the upper crust
Yeah.
subdivisions and that I didn't live in, but I recognize them. But what I do think was very realistic was, in 1986, Ralph, his buddy, is driving like a cabriolet convertible, like this real junky car that I do know several people in high school that had those. They were cheap. They were not good cars.
He's driving a Ford Jabroni.
It is one of the real knockoffy kind of things, and I was sitting there going, that's at least realistic, that he's not driving some real sweet vehicle. It's just this crappy little convertible.
But also that gives him, because this was definitely the case when I was in high school, that he had any car makes him really cool.
Oh, of course. Yeah, if you had a car, even if it was your granddad's whatever Caprice Classic, then that was still legit.
Listman drove around in this like piece of shit 80s pickup truck, but he had a car, like
see, there you go.
Yeah.
But in this case, the McCarthy thinks that Ralph was the one that Nora bit because he's recognizing that car. They saw it drive away from the mansion.
Right.
So he doesn't know that Jeremy's anything.
He's literally trying to aim up a shot from the van in the school parking. He's just gonna drop this kid.
Yeah. and again, not aiming at Jeremy, he's aiming at Ralph.
Right, he's aiming at Ralph. And that's one of those things where you just go like, he is just he's a bad guy in this way. I agree, he gets off because he is villainous. He's not doing this for the right reason. He's just
and
a
also he's villainous because, as the movie goes to great lengths at the end to explain, vampires aren't bad. They're misunderstood. There might be some bad vampires, but they're not
in this world. I think it's better to be a vampire. I kind of want to be a vampire in this world. Like, other than you have to consume blood, it's all positives.
Yeah, as long as you are, you take care of your blood thirst through pig blood, which is easily available at a butcher shop.
Incredibly easy. Oh, I love the butcher. I do love when the butcher's like,
that was pretty great. He's like, your first time. Gives him the little wink.
I do. I think a better movie and a movie with more money, I would have liked to have seen more of the like subculture of the vampires, right? Like
when we get to that point when he realizes what he is and he has to adjust, they do this montage-y kind of thing, including that whole trip to the butcher thing. And then when we're out of the montage, it's supposedly the next day. And all I can think is like, what the fuck? All that shit happened in one day?
Yeah. That's how it is, man. When you're a vampire, man, that's how it goes.
When you're in this kind of movie, that's how that happens.
You talk about breezy. This thing runs 89 minutes. It is just moving and moving. It's just like, don't worry about it. Don't think too much about it. Let's just get to the next scene.
This is a movie you do not want to think at all about.
No, and I didn't.
Because it will make you angry.
Like I said, I was just charmed yesterday because I was just like, well, click that brain right off, and this is kind of cute. So he's following them as they're in the driver's ed car, and the driver's ed teacher is a massive dick. Which actually, my driver's ed teacher was awful. To be fair, she was She was kind of like this. Didn't check your mirrors. You got to check your mirrors every 20 seconds and go 1, 2, 3. Right.
I didn't take driver's ed in high school. Like, we had driver's ed, but all of my electives and everything were filled. I took a course outside while I was in high school, so I had like a night thing.
I took it in the summer. It was through the school, but it was a summer school program, so it still wasn't during the school. My sister did this though, where it was like
I kind of liked this guy though. I kind of liked he's terrible, but I was like, this guy's a no name, but he's given a real performance here.
He's playing a character for sure, and he really hates these two guys. Like,
he can't stand them.
Yeah. And of course, though,
we
get the first of like 4 car chases in this. There are so many cars. I was not prepared for that and did not remember.
I will say again,
mostly car chases.
I know that this guy isn't from Houston who wrote this, but that the fact that they spend so much time in cars and on the freeways, I'm going, yeah, that's a Houston thing.
Oh, okay, then that works.
Well, no, it is LA's little brother as far as it has the most highways. You're always on a freeway in Houston, always going from one place to another.
And so we get this because this guy is now freaking out the driver's ed teacher because Ralph is driving the car.
The whole thing is that McCarthy is giving chase, which means that's the whole reason we had, as we were asking, why are they in driver's ed?
Only to do
is so they could have a car chase with vampire hunters after them while they're just in their instructor car, which means you get an outside person like the instructor guy going, what's going on? You guys are crazy. And you get this big
But the thing
car
the
chase.
movie does miss is the driver's ed car. The driver's ed teacher had a brake.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah,
They have
not
their
here
own
though.
brake. Nope.
Not here because
they do full on like TJ Hooker kind of car chase.
I know, yeah, but I'm going like I know he's yelling it, but this guy's precision driving is insane.
Well,
he's doing these hard
they've
turns
established
and
it, and it
slides
stays throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Apparently,
he's been going to the stunt track.
He can really drive. Is the point of his
driving
character.
like the fucking Fall Guy, man.
Oh, I'm not the kind of kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah. Anyway.
I've been seen with Farrah. So this turns into a crazy chase. And I mean, the music is doing its best to like try to make this, but I want to hear like the heat is on. Like that's what I want is the Beverly Hills Cop kind of, because it's trying to be like this is a fun car chase though.
There are the needle drops in this. I mean, they're like we mentioned. There's like 3 songs that and one of them is used a couple of times. Yeah. And everything else is garbage. Everything else doesn't work as score, or even when it's supposed to be a pop song. When they go to the punk club and what they're playing, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
you would not be slam dancing to this. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It's just nothing. Like it's just innocuous.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's just innocuous.
Which means that bleeds that scene of all energy. You have extras and actors and even David Warner trying to pretend like this is a high energy environment.
Oh yeah, because he comes in instantly disgusted by this place. Oh dear God.
It reminded me a lot of that scene in Howling 2 where you've got
Christopher Lee comes
Christopher Lee showing up in that. Yeah. At least there you had knockoff Oingo Boingo type stuff.
Yeah, Howling. They do use the speed trap here to get them stopped by the cops. That's how they get out of this car chase, which I'm going like, okay, movie, sure. Fine.
All right, you thought about something for about 5 minutes.
Look,
congratulations.
Hey, that's more than a lot of shit we watch on this show. So I will
say
the fact that anything comes back around in this thing, at this point I'm going like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Puts it in the upper crust, unfortunately. At least a step above like the bottom of the barrel shit we watch. Yeah.
We'll be visiting the bottom again very soon.
Oh, well, maybe next week. Anyway, Robert Sean Leonard goes back to his job at the grocery store, which is when he spots MODOK in the store, and he's like, oh no, but he looks up in the security mirror and he's not in it.
Yeah, this is where MODOK has been literally just stalking him. This is the first time that he's literally sort of acknowledging, like looking at him, he's kind of waving like, yeah, we need to talk or whatever. He's not saying anything. But we do have the thing of Jeremy's looking in the mirror, doesn't see him. He goes to and this is where he bumps into his crush, Cheryl
Darla.
Pollack's character. What's
Darla.
her name? The character Darla.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What's your deal? You're always staring at me." He's like, "I can't really talk right now." And then he's like, "Here, come with me."
He pulls her into the back, like freezer, behind
the back of the freezer.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look up in the mirror. Do you see anybody in the aisle?" She goes, "No." And he's like, "Now look through the glass. You see anybody there?" And she goes, "No."
I do like when he looks he looks through the glass and MODOK is there, and it's just René Auberjonois like smiling and like, "Hey buddy."
Yeah. Hey, what's up, pal?
Yeah, he's not threatening at all, which is very.
But Darla is like, this is further proof that Jeremy is a weird guy. Why would she ever be interested in him?
So much of the first half of the movie is just Cheryl Pollack going like, "You're so weird.
I know.
Why are you so weird?"
That's all she gets to play.
She is very cute and likable, but. Man, she doesn't have it. She's very dull in her line readings. Her
line readings are just flat, pretty much.
Yeah,
even later on when there's like tension, or she's like, "You can't leave me here. Don't leave me here."
I felt bad watching it because I'm going like, "Oh, I want to like you, but you're not good." I do like her, but she's
likable. But I think you're coasting on. This is someone that has a look.
Yeah.
That you just. This is kind of what I was saying about Jenny Wright. Though Jenny Wright had, with Near Dark, Jenny Wright in all of her roles, she at least has this sort of, like I kept saying, I said elf-like, sylph-like. She has this sort of airy vibe, even though her line readings are also not great.
But she's
not a very good actor.
otherworldly, so it kind of matches the look more. Whereas
Right.
she has this
Cheryl
like,
Pollack is just an attractive,
yeah,
cute,
she does look
beguiling
like the
presence.
girl you'd be in love with in high school. But then
Yes.
she doesn't have the what you need is a more naturalistic charm from that.
She got better acting wise.
I like we said, I'm
still
judging this
never
based on-
great. As you can see, her
Yeah.
career tapered off.
Yeah,
and
she hasn't been in
weird.
anything, but she was in an episode of Alien Nation, the TV show. I see. So,
Oh boy,
oh, I did watch that. I did watch
Sam Francisco.
that. I love that movie, and I was a fan of the show. So,
The movie is great, and the show wasn't bad, and
Yeah.
certainly still has a cult following. But
yeah,
I mean, that movie is that's a
God, I
really
love that
good,
movie. I
low budget,
what a great idea,
concept.
great concept, and two
And
great
Mandy-
actors, right? James
Mandy.
Caan, Mandy Patinkin, crushing it. Great movie.
Jeez.
Go watch Alien Nation. Can't recommend it enough.
That actually that is very valid thing to bring up, simply because people have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And they should revisit, because talk about immigration. That
Oh,
movie is
I mean,
a great
actually,
metaphor.
maybe something ripe for a reboot. Really.
I'd say a great double feature. Watch Brother from Another Planet
Yes.
and Alienation
Yes.
together.
Brother
Watch
from
those
Another
as
Planet,
a double feature.
Also excellent.
That is socially conscious sci-fi. It's great.
Totally great. Much like this socially conscious vampire movie. No, never mind.
Okay, yeah, we're back.
So
But
anyway,
basically, she didn't see MODOK. She
Yeah.
still thinks
He's a
crazy,
super
but
weirdo.
he does ask her out, doesn't he? Here
is this when he asks her out?
or soon? He
It's
does it soon.
It's soon. Because he goes home here and he's looking through the fridge because he's feeling peckish, but nothing sounds good except for that bloody steak.
Oh, he's his dad comes down and he's like, you still look really sick and pale. What are you doing? He's like, I'm making a protein shake.
Yeah.
And he's doing that with the blender. But he also, what dad hasn't seen is he dumped that bloody steak into
First,
his
he
protein
wrings
shake.
the blood out of the steak into it, then just
Yes.
drops the steak itself. And
So he
fires
has
it
made
up.
a blendered protein shake with chopped up meat and blood in it. And then he walks off.
I don't
And the
know.
dad's
Why
like,
does he drink
protein
it? That's
shake,
so
huh?
weird that he just leaves it there.
I know. And the dad takes a sip and then just goes, and throws up.
It's a decent like comedy take of him being like,
Sure.
"Oh." I mean, this
Yep.
guy, it's a thankless role, but he's doing fine work. Both he and Fanny Flag are doing
You
just
just can't
fine.
go wrong with all these character actors. They're doing what they can with the material at hand.
So when he goes back up to his bedroom, MODOK is in his room waiting for him.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
doesn't
just,
need to be invited.
I got to tell you, kid, you're a vampire. I don't know how to break this to you. Like, it's just how it is.
There is kind of like he does a little bit of the what you'd expect, the melodramatic tease of like, have you ever heard the term undead? He's doing all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And Jeremy's being thick about it. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, you weirdo. You're in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And then I love the way that MODOK finally goes, look, you're a vampire.
Yeah.
And he
All
just
right.
goes,
Okay,
look,
yeah.
I'm just, enough of that.
'Cause
You're
once-
a vampire. It's what you are
Man,
now.
anytime Auberjonois is in this movie, he's crushing it. No matter the
Yeah.
quality of the dialogue, he is selling it because he's that good. And he and Robert Sean Leonard are very good together. 'Cause
They
they're
are. I mean,
good
you instantly
actors.
buy this mentor-mentee relationship. It
It
good.
does show you. We watch a lot of these movies where the writing's bad and the acting's bad. Well, if the writing's kind of weak and the acting's good, it can become watchable at the very least.
Yeah, watchable, and as we say, slight.
Yeah. And this movie, I mean, that's the other thing, too, is like, I'm not getting upset with the movie because the movie isn't trying to be anything other than slight.
It
either.
is true.
You
This
got to
is
look at
not trying
ambition,
to
right?
Set
Like,
a bar. This
no.
is, if anything, it's trying to like a balance beam across that bar.
This is
It's not trying to raise or lower.
this is a total midday, like 2 p.m. programmer on TBS.
Yes.
And if you watch it that way, I think that's the ideal way to watch it. You're just like,
This could almost be on Fox Family if you got rid of some of the like the suggestive-y parts.
absolutely, yeah.
I'd say there's the lady in the negligee at the beginning, but you don't see any nudity. The nice lady with the thin clothing.
How come Jerry Lewis never played a vampire? I would have loved that.
It would have been great.
I gotta drink the blood.
I went out in the day at height.
Yeah.
I went back inside because the burning. It was burning hot with the sun.
But come on, little buddy. I gotta tell you something about. You're a vampire.
Thirsty. I would like something. What do you want? I'm know what you got on tap, line.
You gotta be positive on tape. I'm gonna tell you something here, little buddy. You're a vampire, tells you.
You know, Jerry, I think it's about time I staked you. I'm getting a little tired of dealing with you all the time.
Yeah. You can call me Professor Vandino.
Professor Vandino.
Come on, he had to have done. That seems like a sketch on his show. Like, no, but Professor Vandino here, fearless vampire
and he would
hunter.
script his line and then squint at the cue card. No, what I meant to say was,
hold on,
come on,
bring that a little closer.
Genius.
Right. Yes, okay. A career of pretending to be drunk. I love it.
The fact that he could get away with that is his thing. Is that he has not prepared.
I love that this guy didn't rehearse. It's so funny. I can't.
I paid money to see a guy who doesn't care. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, he did luck into the greatest personas. Like, it's great. I don't have to care, and people love me for it. In fact, the less work I do, the more they enjoy it. Oh so man, good. To have been Dean Martin. To be that talented and just not give a shit.
And make it look like a lack of effort.
What's everybody doing?
Has gotten you where you got.
Hey, what's everybody doing in my room? You know, like
it's like, how'd you all get in my dressing room?
Yeah.
Oh,
my dad to this day, one of his go-tos, and it's from. He just goes. He would do from the variety show. He goes, I think I'll go to the couch. My dad will just do that all the time. He'll just say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gold diggers. The gold diggers, ladies and gentlemen.
Why, it's my old pal John Wayne. You know, like. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So he's a vampire. What does my notes say here? Nose.
Basically, MODOK tries to give him quick instruction as far as you're gonna want blood.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: it doesn't have to be human. Don't worry about being a monster. We're not monsters.
Well, he gives him a textbook too. He goes, "Go ahead and read this." And I do love that runner throughout the movie. He goes, "Once again, if you had read the book, that was actually
and
in
then
there."
Later on, him like going, "God, I really should get around to reading that book."
Yeah,
it says something like vampirology,
yeah.
Everything you need to know, and it's like a
there's
leather
a photo
book.
Of it here
It reminds me of the Beetlejuice thing of
the guidebook for the recently deceased. Guidebook for the recently deceased. Here it is. It's called Vampirism: A Practical Guide to an Alternative Lifestyle.
Yeah,
which is very funny.
It's not
That's
a bad
funny.
gag.
You know, it's interesting. All these movies, because Beetlejuice is around the same time too. There was kind of this like, we're gonna turn horror tropes. And
we're gonna deconstruct it. Make it funny.
That was very big in the late '80s. And a lot of my favorite, like I adore Beetlejuice. I think that movie is amazing.
Who's gonna talk against Beetlejuice?
I can't imagine anybody would.
No, tell me their name, and I'm gonna visit them tonight.
I would kill to see the Broadway production of it. I hear it's awesome. God, I want to see it so bad. But
we're here.
Yeah. Hopefully that goes on tour and I can see it because I really want to see that. Let's see. So this is where he's telling him, okay, we're living vampires. He's also warning him about this kook, Professor McCarthy, because he does tell him, this guy's been following me around, and I do like MODOK being like, oh, yeah, Professor McCarthy. He's kind of...
I know exactly who that is.
Yeah, yep. He's got some crazy idea in his head that we're all bad and he needs to rid the world of us. So he goes, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for that guy.
Yeah.
Once again, this is what I love. The nonchalant, like, yeah, we're vampires, but, like, you could still live a life, you know?
Yeah.
It's okay. Is it here that we learn? No, I think it's later. Never mind. They're living vampires. He goes, yeah, take this number. This is an all-night butcher, which I love. That's where you're going to go. And you're going to get the blood. And again, shout out to my Houston homies. Sean Patrick Leonard pulls up into the parking lot of the Whole Foods. Yeah.
The Whole Foods that is right next to the old Alabama theater that was turned into the Book Stop. And you can see the marquee that says the Book Stop. It was an old movie palace that got turned into this big bookstore.
I noticed,
but still kept the marquee.
I did notice that because I noticed the movie thing because I was looking to see what was on. There was nothing on the marquee, but I was similarly like near dark looking to see if something was playing. But I see now it's a bookstore.
Yeah, and so it's right next door to Whole Foods, which is where my brother worked. Shout out to my brother. But I love the fact it's a Whole Foods market. But he goes in and suddenly it looks like some other kind of like just hick grocery store.
Oh, this
with
scene when he goes up and he's
the
like,
butcher's counter.
Can I,
and he's like,
hey, can I get you something, kid? And he's like, can I get 2 of the T-bones and
I did like that. It's like the scene in Teen Wolf. It's
Yeah.
like any teenager movie where they're going in, they're trying to get beer.
Yeah.
But they're good. It's like, I'll take some of that gum.
Yeah.
I'll take some of the Slim Jims.
Yeah.
And some beer, but I'll also get this.
Yeah.
So he orders a bunch of steaks,
8
chicken,
chickens, and he goes,
and then a pint of pig's blood.
Pint of pig's blood, and what was that last one? Pint of pig's blood.
And then he does a thing of like, and he goes, "How much?" He's above. He goes, "How much just for the pig's blood?" And the butcher looks at him and goes, $2.49.
When I do like when he goes, hey, first time, huh? And gives him a wink. Like, once again,
Yeah,
that's what I wish there was more of that in the movie. Like,
yeah, like there's this understood subculture
I feel
of
like,
vampires.
Once again, I'm not trying to fix these movies, but I feel like the way I would have leaned is away from shenanigans with the vampire hunter and more into just adjusting to the life of the vampire and going into vampire society, which I guess is closer to something like What We Do in the Shadows. Which we'll watch that movie at some point on this show because
can it be next week? Can we do it now?
Legitimately one of my favorite vampire movies. I love that movie.
Undeniably.
And the show, who would have thought, just as good. Like, really. And I always thought, I thought, oh God, they're gonna ruin it here with the American. Nope. Also brilliant.
Nope. Also brilliant.
Yep. I don't question.
It's
anything.
an Office situation.
Yes, it is. Where you go like, man, in some ways this actually improves upon this in an unexpected manner. Let's see. They're living. Eventually, what do we get here? Oh yeah. This is where he asks her out. Robert Chandler is walking around the school, and he sees Darla practicing her sax.
Yeah,
and he goes, I love that she's just alone in the band room. Like, why is she here doing this? Anyway, she's practicing her saxophone.
Here's the thing that's so weird is that I watched this 2 nights ago because I'm getting my calendar mixed up.
Yeah.
2 nights ago, and then last night is when I watched Metal Lords on Netflix, and this will date this podcast.
Yeah.
Metal Lords,
that
I
brand new,
love.
just released.
Yes, Metal Lords, because it's based on a teen romance movie comedy structure. They have scenes that are very similar.
Yeah,
like here he finds Darla playing saxophone alone in like the rehearsal room. And in Metal Lords, it's the same thing with the drummer guy finding the girl cellist after school in the rehearsal room playing cello alone. I was like, oh my God. And they're about to ask each other, oh my God, it's the same movie. Only one's incredibly great. And the other one is Metal Lords. Joke.
But no, I mean, you're right. I mean, there are certain just tropes of this. Like this scene feels like any John Hughes movie. Actually, some of this reminds me of Better Off Dead, which is one of my favorite 80s.
A little bit,
movies.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, like I mean, because this scene
does have moments of an arch, weird, surrealistic tone that Savage Steve Holland mastered.
God, I would have loved to have actually seen
pretending.
Him. I would love to have seen him take this premise and put his spin on it.
Tell you the truth, I would have loved to see him do like a horror comedy. It would have been great.
Get Cusack, and he's a vampire, you know.
Oh my God, perfect.
Yeah,
but I mean, Robert
Sean Leonard
this
actually
is weak sauce version of that kind of thing.
Robert Sean Leonard does have some Cusackian energy in this,
very much, so.
as they call him over on fellow podcast Blank Check, the Sack.
Yeah. There's a thing where there's a quirkiness and eccentricity, but mainly the non-threatening cute guy.
The non-threatening cute guy who's kind of an outcast, but not fully a nerd. He's cool, but not popular.
He's still cute enough that a woman could see herself getting over his weird eccentricity.
And also,
to date him.
He's not enough of an alpha male that we as male audience members, I go like, well, yeah, I was kind of a Cusack in high school. Neither popular nor bullied. Neither, like that. That's, kind of fit in different places. Yeah, I can go with that. I was a Dobbler.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I was a teenage Dobbler.
Yeah, that's going to be my autobiography.
There you go.
So anyway, even though Doppler was a teenager, so that makes no sense.
That's right.
But so he talks to her, and this is where he asks her out. And also, this is where you get the thing where it's like, well, why would you want to ask me out? It's just like, well, I like you. And she's like, almost like someone would like little old me?
I know, it's just so weird.
Yeah. Stunningly
And
beautiful
she goes,
me?
"You mean when you're in the same class with fill in the blank
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
you're gonna look at me?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I think as if the world has deemed this woman unattractive.
No
It makes
guy has
no
clearly no man,
sense.
and the way her parents act later, no boy has ever asked her out once ever, clearly.
It makes this. I mean, that is an old trope. It's been made
If
fun
I
of
went to school,
forever.
here's the thing: if I had gone to school with Cheryl Pollack, I would have been too intimidated to have ever asked her out.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be the case
And-
of nobody's looking at her twice. I would have been like, oh,
And
no,
this is
she's
just
way
like
out of my
Rachel
league.
Lee Cook with glasses.
Oh,
I'm
God.
sitting there going,
Oh, my
dude,
God.
there's nothing where you pull the hair back and put glasses on someone. They are still undeniably
Yeah.
physically gorgeous. What the fuck is your problem?
These faces are just, objectively beautiful faces.
Objectively beautiful
you
faces.
can do anything
that has
with a
nothing
hair
to do
or
with
glasses.
slunched over
No,
posture
No,
and drab clothing.
Oh, I mean, the one that I always go back to is Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Who the hell was looking at her, right?
I know, because the whole thing is that she comes back from Paris with the new haircut, and everyone's like going, "Oh my God, who
Yeah.
is this?" I'm like going,
Yeah.
"You mean the unbelievable, attractive, supposed teenager that had longer hair that was
I
here all the
thought-
time?"
This is where I thought the Sidney Pollack version did slightly better. Not that Julia Ormond is like, but they at least did a little bit more to make that transformation feel like something. It's still crazy that nobody would have paid
Julia
attention.
Ormond is again an unbelievably attractive woman.
But rather than the attractive, they at least make her look notably different. I guess
Sure.
what I'm saying, more in that version. But of
I
course,
actually kind of prefer pre-Paris Sabrina because she's got the adorable pigtails and she's like in shorts and
Yeah.
like and I'm like, "Oh my God, hello."
Because glam Sabrina, we're like, that's
Well,
far,
glam
far out
Sabrina
of our
becomes
league.
literally just
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn,
Yeah,
which
and you're
you
going like-
expect.
yeah, okay, that's fine. But yeah.
And next on our Audrey Hepburn cast,
Yeah.
Hepcast.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's after we finish Valerie Hobson cast.
Yeah,
Still, no woman on this show has matched Valerie Hobson to me.
we can't get enough of Valerie Hobson,
my
and
God,
there just
I
isn't
never-
enough.
Never
of Valerie
understood why she didn't become a bigger star. Anyway, so she agrees to go out with him, and he's very excited about that. But then when he gets out of the shower and he's trying to shave, and what's this? Goddamn mirror's broken.
Oh,
The reaction of, I love this. This is in every single movie where somebody transforms into something. Something's wrong with the mirror. What would be
well,
wrong?
this one
with
takes it
the
to comedic,
mirror?
stupid lengths because this is literally. There in most of those movies you're talking about, they'll do a like, huh, and then they'll move it a little bit. And they're like, oh my God, and it in this case he either he's really stupid or they thought this would be funny. Is that he literally is touching it and is
Yeah.
like, huh, mirror's broken,
Well,
and then
the
it
other
happens
one,
again with another one. He's like,
yeah.
this one too. Nothing around here works. You're like, wow,
The
this
other
guy
movie,
is
the other movie that
stupidest
has
human.
basically the same beat is Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, where he looks in the mirror and he's got the full Santa beard and he goes, "Somebody's been messing with this mirror." What?
So dumb. So dumb.
That does have the funny bit in that movie where he shaves and then just grows back instantly.
The mirror
That's
effects
funny.
in this, I mean, they're decently framed.
Yeah.
They look pretty good. But at the same time, they could not. It's 1986 and they had
Yeah.
no money. But it doesn't make other things disappear. So if he's
Right.
brushing his teeth, it's like, well, where's the toothbrush hanging in the middle of air? Oh,
Yeah.
I see. They couldn't do that.
No, they couldn't do that. Also, because he can't see, there's a whole joke where he's cut his face so many times.
Yes.
Boy, that's
Yeah.
hackneyed. The toilet paper on the blood spot.
Well, I love it because he's getting ready for his date, and he couldn't see, so he nicked himself with the razor. By the time he shows up at his date, let's conservatively say 15, 20 minutes later,
Yeah.
there's no more of the tissue. There's no
Well,
markings.
because I imagine as a vampire, he's healed quickly.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll go
I
with
like
that.
your logic.
Yeah, they don't go into that power specifically, but you know,
You're giving this movie so much credit.
Odo takes some bullets pretty easily later, so you know.
Odo takes bullets so well they don't even fuck up his clothing.
I know, right? The bullets apparently just evaporated in midair before hitting
Well,
him.
again, this movie is very cheap because they don't even bother to do anything like with like little wind or something to show like possible impact.
No.
No, he's just walking forward. There's like no.
They said it's almost like there's just a force field in front of him.
There's
that's
no
stopping
squib.
The bullets.
There's
Yeah.
no. There's just
No,
like no. I'm just
no.
walking, and you're
No.
hearing gunshots.
No
So you're assuming
money.
bullets are going through me.
So he goes. Okay, so he goes to her house, and her parents answer the door, and this leads us to not a cameo by the movie standards, but a huge cameo to me, where I went, "Dear God,
This was the jaw drop.
It
for
is,
me.
as she's credited here, Kathy D. Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Oh
Young
my God,
Kathy Bates.
yeah,
Slim Kathy
I
Bates.
have never seen her like this. I don't think.
And she's playing the mom of Cheryl Pollack, and this is early. This has to be one of the first things.
Well, because she has an
she's
absolute
done.
nothing part in this.
And it's a nothing part. And then my mind is blown because the second she shows up, not only am I like, young Kathy Bates, my mind instantly goes, you're going to win an Oscar for being in a movie based on a book that your co-star wrote.
Yeah.
Fried Green Tomatoes.
Just
Kathy-
4 years
Kathy
later.
Bates, just 4 years later, she will be in the movie version of the book that
Fried
Fannie
Green
Flagg
Tomatoes,
wrote.
yeah.
It's just mind boggling.
Oh, this is not that early for her. She's been around since 1970 and
Yeah,
bouncing
but
around.
it's
Lots of TV though. But she's worked a lot. You know, she did do a Love Boat. I know you were wondering. But she's been on. You know, she's been on One Life to Live. She's been on Saint Elsewhere, Cagney and Lacey, and then this, and then the next year she's in the classic Arthur 2 on the Rocks.
Oh,
because I had so many unanswered questions from the first Arthur. I'm so glad they made that sequel.
One of the things I still needed more information about the worst, the best that you can do if you get caught between the moon and New York City is fall in love.
Yeah.
I need a little bit more information.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me if you're in a zero gravity incident where you are literally drifting from the Earth to the moon's surface, I need a little bit more information on how falling in love is going to help you at all.
Dude, late 80s is a tough time for Dudley.
Well, Dudley was so huge at early 80s. That must have been a huge drop off because, I mean, of course he was popular in the 70s, but then he hits.
Yeah.
He steals Seems Like Old Times.
Yeah.
He gets 10, that's all basically him.
Yeah.
He gets Arthur, that's all him, and Arthur is still one of the best performances.
God damn, that movie is
I mean, he is doing drunk shtick for the whole thing, but
it's a delight.
He
God,
owns
it's so
it.
good. He and Liza, amazing.
And him and Gielgud.
Gielgud.
Get out of my town with how perfect that pairing is.
Oh, God, it's so good. But they did not need a sequel, man. That's one of those classic, a surprise hit. Let's go again. Oh, please don't. Of course, though, 3 years later, I think the movie that really breaks Kathy Bates is Misery in 1990. God damn.
I'm still waiting, but speaking of which, good movies that where their sequels, I'm still waiting for My Best Friend's Next Wedding. I mean, come on, why can't we get that going?
Oh, man. There's a movie that's referenced just constantly.
Miss Congeniality 4.
Yeah. Oh, God, you talk about a sequel to a surprise hit. Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. Good Lord. Michael Caine.
Sister Act 6 or 7 at this point. I'm ready.
Actually, I think Whoopi has floated the idea of a third movie out there.
Oh, didn't they do it? But didn't they do like a recasty or something?
No, well, they did the musical, which I did actually.
Maybe
I did actually
see
thinking. A production of that, and it is delightful. I do recommend Sister Act the musical. It's a lot of fun.
Sorry, man. I just recently saw Hamilton live on stage,
I know.
and I don't
You
need
got
to hear
that
about
on
any
me.
other musical.
I've seen other musicals, but I still haven't gotten to Hamilton.
Good Lord, man. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So
they go on a date.
This is where the father goes, we got to take a picture of your first date, which is fucking embarrassing as hell, man. This is not prom.
And he uses the Polaroid Instamatic, very of its time, and then he takes the
Robert
pictures.
Sean Leonard's not in the picture, and he goes, damn camera must be busted.
Yeah, and that is literally 5 minutes after, man, the mirror's broken.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Damn camera's broken. But you're just like, what? That's such a
and
weird...
then they go to Star Pizza in Houston, though it has a different sign out in front.
Yeah.
And again, Star Pizza, I miss it. So
We're
good,
in a
that
pizza
place.
place. There's generic music playing. It's
Generic
the 80s.
music playing.
Yeah,
and they're having a good time. They're actually bonding. He's charming. She's delighted by him.
They order the garbage can pizza.
Yep, garbage can pizza, which has everything on it. So of course,
Except
and he plays this
anchovies,
well.
right?
His
That's the thing.
reactions are very funny.
Oh, it's very good when he goes take a bite.
It's
And
not
he's
like, ah, it burns, but he's doing this thing of like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's doing this weird take.
he's doing like a yeah, like where he's trying. It's like a force is stopping him. Where he's
yeah,
like,
and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I
and
guess
he does
I'm
it,
just not
it's
hungry."
really good physical work because he does it quick, where he'll like bring it up and go, and then stop, and then it's not. He doesn't overdo it. Really,
And then when they
well-calculated
come
comedy.
over, it's like, "What's in this pizza?" Which is stupid. You never
Yeah,
order a pizza
but-
going, "I'll just order this."
Well, but what's interesting is they specifically said they asked not for the anchovies. They said it has
oh, that's
everything
right.
on it,
It's
but
garbage
except for the
can pizza, so everything's on it minus the anchovies.
So that
you
means
didn't
that they
want.
had to know something if they requested something off of it. But it's also
That's
the
true.
woman could go, oh, it's got pepperoni, sausage, and green peppers, and olives, and garlic.
And he goes, "Garlic, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks."
Yeah. Oh boy, because he's a vampire. Oh, you see, honey, he's a vampire.
But they have a. That's the local. That's the local crowd. there.
I figured this movie out.
It's actually
I got
our
it
old
cracked.
friend who finally decided to bring his wife and kids to one of
Yeah.
these movies. Like, I figured this would be safe and there wouldn't be no boobies,
Yeah.
which generally is a movie I would never see in my life, but I decided to let the kids come to this one.
Wife's been on my ass about taking the kids to a movie every once in a while. Seeing as I spend all my time watching movies over and over again.
First 10 minutes was for Daddy, though, because Nora was smoking hot.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, she does. We do get her in some slinky lingerie, but always shot at a distance,
Yeah, I mean, they were aiming this at a PG crowd,
Yeah.
but they still wanted
this
PG
is-
sexy.
It's a very 1987 PG, because this is 100%
Yeah.
a PG-13 today for any of
It's
that sex
true,
stuff,
just
but-
with like language and,
Yeah.
and subject matter, they give this PG-13.
Yeah, but back then, this is fine. Take the kids.
Man, back then sometimes you get a boob in a PG, and you're like, I don't understand this rating system.
Dude, yeah, I distinctly remember watching some movies as a kid where I'm like, I'm sorry, that they're naked.
Sheena has a nude
Yeah.
shower, like she's in the waterfall
Well,
scene.
actually,
and,
on that same front, Beastmaster does too, and I think Beastmaster's PG.
and one of the ones that really surprised me, it surprised me that I saw the movie because it's shit. But William Catt and Sean Young in Baby,
Jesus
the
Christ.
Lost Legend or whatever
Oh
it
my
is,
God! Yeah, wait,
which
did you
has
see
the
that?
terrible animatronic little
Yeah.
brontosaurus.
Yeah.
And for some reason, a pretty adult love scene, including toplessness, in a PG movie
Yeah.
with a little baby brontosaurus. What am
Weird.
I watching?
Weird. 16 Candles was a big one for me as a kid. That was PG, and not only is there a shower scene, but there's also she goes, "They fucking forgot my birthday."
Yeah,
And that was PG.
Yeah, maybe you get one.
Yeah. Well, I think that was pre PG-13, but still, I remember Doc Hollywood was another one. That was PG-13, but still, that was like a family favorite of our, because we love Michael J.
I
Fox.
was very happy
was
that
like-
when I saw, very happy. I was completely of age. I saw Doc Hollywood on
Yeah.
a date, but it was one of those things where I was like going, yeah, if I had been younger and had been a family, like it's a
Yeah.
delightful
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox movie.
Why
And so
wouldn't we?
wouldn't the
Why
family
would-
go see it?
Yeah.
But you have this long scene of a woman walking out of a lake naked. And I was like, I am a little stunned this is in my PG movie.
Yeah, it was almost like I can't enjoy this. I can't like this. This is weird.
I was in a situation of like being surprised and then later checking with my date going, can you believe they put that in there?
Yeah.
And her going, yeah. And then me in my mind going, don't talk about that you enjoyed that. Julie Warner, also a crush of mine, Julie Warner, the
She
great.
just kind of disappeared.
I wish she hadn't.
Yeah,
She
I
was
liked
so
her.
good for a time there. She had
She's great in
that.
that
She
movie,
had
yeah.
Mr. Saturday Night. And
Oh yeah. Oh, Mr. Saturday Night. Also,
anyway,
just came to Broadway as a musical now.
did it?
Yeah, starring Billy Crystal and David Paymer. They're doing the show.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
we'll talk later about that. I just watched it.
Yeah, off camera.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Uh,
mic.
yeah. So they go to the pizza place. There's garlic on
They
it.
can't eat the garlic. He can't eat the garlic pizza. Then they go parking.
Oh, do they ever go parking? Mhm.
Here's dumb. writing. Not only do they go to apparently a popular makeout spot, which Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to tell me that everyone from this high school would happen to go to the same. Well, I mean, maybe so, but because in the next car over
Yeah.
is Darla's friend
they're
making out
it's
with a guy.
because like the classic like teenage thing of make out point, right?
Yeah, sure.
But they're so perfectly like parked right,
Literally
one to
right
one.
next,
like
as
they're
if
in
it had been
spots.
set up in advance.
Yeah. Did
They
you,
hadn't
did your
even
hometown
established
have
that
a,
she was the other character.
Did
was
you
gonna
have
go
a
on a date
makeout
that same night?
point in your town? Did you have a makeout point? Was that a thing? Because that's always a movie thing, and as far as I know, did not exist in my town. Although maybe people.
Well,
were
the
just doing
thing
it
is
not telling
about
me.
makeout points. That's why I brought up the size of Houston.
Yeah.
Makeout points that's small town specific.
Yeah.
Because you would have to have like, where can we get away from our local grown-ups?
Yeah.
If you live in a place like Houston, anything is makeout point because the thing is vast.
That's what I was going to say.
Find,
is my memory was you just kind of made out wherever you were if it was mildly secluded. Like,
sure.
And it wasn't like, well, we all go there to make out like this. Like I said, that's such a movie thing. Maybe it is a small town thing.
It's a small town thing.
I grew up in a suburb of a major city though, so it wasn't like I grew up in a small town, but not with that idyllic small town feel.
I would say that it makes sense that they're at least parking at a place that has a very gorgeous view, is overlooking like the bayou, is overlooking some sort of.
It is literally like that's the place. It's the only place anyone goes to make it.
Apparently, because Darla's best friend is right there, and she sees all this almost making out stuff. They start kissing in the car, and then he's tempted to bite her.
Yeah, this is the first time we see the fangs pop out.
And he's so concerned about this, and this is very nice. He doesn't want to hurt her. He likes Darla. So instead,
out of the car and drives off.
He kicks her out of the car as like, I'm so sorry, and drives off. And she's like, you can't just leave me.
I do love that when she goes like, you can't, like, it's just like, I'm sorry, you can't do this. This is unacceptable behavior.
He panics like a freakazoid and leaves her there, and he doesn't even know that her friend is in the next car. As far as he knows,
you'll
left
get a
her out there
ride
to
from
be
someone.
But her friend does see this and pops out and goes, did he just leave you?
Yeah.
Oh, and they hug, and she's crying like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, no. So this is where he goes home and finally actually cracks open that pig's blood he bought. Mm-hmm. And hey, not bad.
He likes it.
Yeah. And then cut to what I called the getting into it montage. And this is
the getting into it montage, which happens in one night.
My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
In one night, he returns to the butcher, gets more stuff.
A lot, including a mini fridge that's in his room for all this.
He styles his hair different, gets a whole new wardrobe.
And he's got the fucking Ray-Bans, man.
This happens in one night.
Or probably Ray-Ban knockoffs with the budget of this movie. But whatever. They look, they're very risky business-esque.
But by the crack of the next morning, when he's off to school as now a hip vampire, when he walks in and literally it's like, I'm sorry about last night. I'm like, last night? This happened in the night?
Well, he doesn't walk in. He goes out to the football field where she's mid marching band practice.
Yes.
Cool move, buddy. It's a good visual scene to have a conversation, though. I will give the filmmakers that.
And again, if you watch Metal Lords, it's weird watching those two back to back.
And
same thing.
Yeah. Well, this is all pretty. I mean, like Freaks and Geeks does this with Seth Rogen's romance with the girl who plays the tuba. He goes out to where the marching band is and stuff too. This is all just sort of classic teenage stuff.
Word.
And this is where he attempts to mind control her into going out with him, and she plays along, and then she's like, "You dummy."
Yeah, he goes,
I thought that was
stop.
cute.
And she does. And he goes, lift your arm. And
he's doing the Professor X finger to the head, of course.
And he's like, you will agree to go out with me. And then she goes, nope, not going to happen, and walks off.
I actually thought that was cute. I actually thought that was Cheryl Pollack's best moment in the movie.
Yeah, she did it very well.
Yeah, that was cute. I like that. Meanwhile, we still have the professor driving around, trying to take a shot at Ralph, and something's in his way. and it's not working. Ah, god damn it. And finally, though, Ralph comes over to Robert Sean Laird's house, where Robert Sean Laird tells him he's a vampire.
I liked this scene. I liked the scene simply because it's just like with the MODOK scene. I like, as we were talking about, casual monsters.
Yeah.
He's like, look, you're my friend. I got to tell you, I'm a vampire. He just lays it out, and Ralph is like, oh, no fucking way. And he's disbelieving, and then he believes after he shows him the mirror thing. And,
right.
He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he's on board, just like Styles was the second.
Well, actually, he shows him the mirror thing.
He
shows him the mirror thing. He goes, that could be a magic trick. And he's like, how about this? Right. I'm drinking blood. He's like, it's red liquid. It could be anything. And he holds him out to take a sip, and he's like,
He's like, oh, God, that's real blood.
And he walks downstairs, and the parents go, well, did you talk to him about what's going on with him? And he's like, oh, I think it's just too personal. And this is where they're like,
the parents have asked Ralph. They know something's up with their son, but he won't talk to him. So they ask his buddy, Ralph, find out what's wrong with him and tell us. And so when he comes downstairs, the parents ask Ralph, like, did you figure it out? Did he tell you? He's like, it's pretty major, and it's kind of serious and private. And then he leaves, and that makes the parents think, oh, our son is gay.
Yeah. But you know what? We love him still. They instantly accept it, pretty much.
Well, I do like when we cut to them, like, doing their research.
Yeah.
Reading the books, like, so your son is gay and all this stuff. And they're and it's like, well, what do you think, honey? And the mom's just like, I did want grandkids, which is a very 1980 idea, 1980s version of, because of course gay couples can have kids anyway. But so any she's like, I did want grandkids. But I do love that these parents are like going, well, we love our son. We just have had to readjust. And they do.
They really do.
This movie is beautiful and progressive.
Yeah, like I said, apparently it's a big cult film in the queer community.
Yeah.
So he shows up at Ralph's house, appears upside down outside his window. Classic.
Yes.
Vampire.
Yeah. A little bit of Lost Boys, a little bit of Salem's Lot. It's like, Ralph, hey, let me in.
Ralph pulls a cross on him, which doesn't do anything with these vampires. So he's like, get that out of here.
Yeah, get that out of here.
And he goes,
I just don't want you to drain me. He's like going, I wouldn't do that, not only because you're my friend, but you're probably gross, and I already have plenty of blood.
And then he instantly shifts from being afraid to, hey, let's use your powers to pick up chicks.
It is instant.
Yeah.
It is Willie Ames instant. It is zapped instant.
I love that our template for like a horny best friend is Willie Ames.
Well, Willie Ames really was that era's.
Well, because he not only did Zap, but he was also the wacky buddy again with Scott Baio and Charles in Charge, right?
He was very much a best pal.
His wacky buddy, whose name was Buddy on Charles in Charge. You gotta love that. Buddy Lembeck.
Buddy Lembeck, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, that was a childhood favorite of mine. I watched a lot of Charles in Charge. Now I can't stop. I tried to watch some as an adult and was like, oh, I can't sit there.
There's a new boy in the neighborhood.
He lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me.
When you look at those lyrics, they are the creepiest thing.
You know, like he's one of the family.
Yeah.
They go. They go to the club. Of course, it doesn't work. He's trying. The buddy really has a thing for these punk girls. Based on the girls he's
they go to I don't know why this is their choice, but they go to
other than
what's
just
supposed
80s?
to be a punk club.
Yeah.
And I'll say that the look, the actors, they brought it. They were probably real local punks, because this isn't at least the look is right. The music they're playing is bullshit. And you're like, why would this be what the music should be
is I hate you and I berate you. Yeah, that's what it should be.
But the jokes are that Jeremy cannot successfully make a woman come over and hit on Ralph.
Yeah, one of his it does work.
Yeah, one of his little thought beams hits
the woman moves
Grimsdyke.
And hits Grimsdyke, who's now desperately in love. He's with
Ralph.
Yeah, make him my make her my love slave. I love the idea of my mental beam misses and hits somebody else. Come on.
He did well. He says he does say the blonde over at the bar, and Grimsdyke has light blonde hair.
Well, we see the woman turn, and suddenly he is
She
like,
turns, but suddenly him. So
Yeah.
maybe there's something in the
I
wording
guess
also.
so.
But
It's very
dumb.
silly. But this also stops. This makes Grimdyke stop Professor
Wanting to
McCarthy.
stake him, and yes,
and he's actively knocking the weapon out of McCarthy's hands as they escape.
Right. Yeah, and they bust. Don't they bust out the window?
No, they run out the door, and then it's Grimsdyke that is thrown out the window.
That's right.
Yeah. So he gets thrown out the window, and they, it's a funny bit, or it's okay. Like, he gets thrown out the window.
When we say funny, we're speaking.
Well, he crashes out the window, Grimsdyke, and then Professor McCarthy's like, "Come along, Grimsdyke!" Like, no acknowledgement that the guy just went through a window.
Yes.
You're arresting me? I just got thrown through a fucking window.
David Warner's doing what he can.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Again, we always say this. It's a credit to a lot of these actors, because we'll call them on when they're sleepwalking or cashing a paycheck.
Yeah.
David Warner, he doesn't appear to be sleepwalking through this.
Neither
He's doing what he can.
and Aubergine Roy are in.
And as I've said many a time, you want to see David Warner be a comedic genius, watch The Man with Two Brains.
Oh, God. Absolutely.
He is so funny, and he only has a little bit in that movie, but he's so good.
David Warner, I don't remember him ever phoning it in. Like, even like in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, he's playing it serious as the guy who makes the ooze that created the turtles.
God bless David Warner.
Yeah,
if the only thing that man ever did was Time After Time, I'd still...
Amazing. And lest we forget...
Time Bandits.
Lest we forget the voice of Ra's al Ghul on Batman the Animated Series.
And he was perfect for that.
Amazing, yeah. All right, so let's see. We're getting into the third act of this thing. So they go to this restaurant afterwards, and Darla and her friend happen to be there.
And this is, I mean, it works for the case of this script, but the idea of he just goes over there to be as apologetic and charming, and it all works pretty quickly. Yeah. I'm like, that. Well, because she turns pretty quick.
He basically,
like,
his excuse is he just goes, "Boy, I was going through some stuff, but I'm better now, so I'm ready to do this." And and he really likes her, and nobody likes this girl. So
even though I do love that she's supposedly this nerd, again, unattractive and a nerd, but every time we see her, her friend looks like one of the cute girls in school. And then when you see her at this restaurant, it's not her sitting at a table alone because she's such a nerd doing homework. No, she's sitting at a table with a lot of cute girls. She's sitting at a table with a clique.
Seems like she has friends.
I'm like, she's not an outsider. This movie is not convincing me that poor Darla is this outcast nerd girl.
No, it doesn't work at all. But
all of her friends sitting at the table like, don't take him back. He dumped you in the middle of nowhere. He's an idiot. And she's like, I don't know. I like him.
He's so cute. I mean, he is adorable.
He's adorable. He's Robert Sean Leonard at 18.
Yeah, very adorable. But unfortunately, a damper is put on things when Professor McCarthy comes in and kidnaps Ralph at gunpoint.
I know, and this is happening. I mean, right there.
Yeah.
And Robert Sean Leonard. It takes him a while to figure out something is going on. They're trying to do it for, again, comedic, because he says, I will not do anything weird from here on out.
Yeah.
I am with you. I'm not going anywhere. We'll start right now, and you'll be amazed at how normal I am.
Yeah.
And he immediately sees his friend being abducted at gunpoint, and he's like, but I have to go right now to go save my friend.
But then he goes,
you're coming with me.
Yeah, you know what? I'll bring you with me, because that'll make this less weird. You know what would have been fine, dude, and what wouldn't have been weird if you had said, yeah, let's go out, this weekend. Okay, I gotta go because Ralph needs me or whatever, and then just bolt out of there. It
could have been like, oh, Ralph's in trouble. How about Saturday night?
She's with her friends. This isn't the date. It's weirder to take her.
Yeah, it is weird.
And she just kind of is like, okay.
Yeah, she kind of just passively goes, and then it becomes a 15-minute chase sequence.
Yeah, and we get
that involves police and. A major accident that there's no fucking way that these two people walked away
from. And during this, he tells her he's a vampire. She grows to accept this over the course of this car chase.
They are in a car,
Yeah.
and he lays all this stuff on her in the car, and he tells her, like, those people in the van that we're chasing have Ralph, and they are vampire hunters. They think he's a vampire, but he's not. I am a vampire.
Yeah.
And he says it essentially exactly like that, and
Yeah.
she goes, "You're kind of weird, but I didn't know you'd be that weird."
Yeah. Well, because
She doesn't say, "Pull over and let me out."
No, because he goes, didn't we talk about how everybody's kind of different? She goes, I meant like being tall or short or thin and fat or having acne, not a vampire. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And once again,
it's like, well, you know.
she just kind of accepts it by the end of the scene and then steals a police car for him. Although I will say my favorite part of this car chase is when he flips the car onto its roof and then the car flips back over and they just keep driving. That was fucking wild.
I thought that the flip over onto the roof was the end of that car, and then they steal the cop car.
No, the end of the car is when they're driving on the two side wheels, and it careens into the police car and gets stuck. Then they get in the police car. No, because the funny thing is that should be the end. When the car flips, that should be the end. But the fact that it just flips back over and he keeps going is hilarious.
It should also just be the end of their lives. One thing we haven't
I mean, if they're wearing seatbelts, they might survive this, but they'd be injured. They're unscathed.
The thing that cracked me about this scene is we skipped one little bit where MODOK says, "I think you're going to be okay, kid. I've told you everything you need to know. Read the book, and here are the keys to my," and it is a sweet, like a BMW or something.
And the license plate, like Nightman.
Nightman is the license plate, which the parents also saw, and they're like, what does that mean?
You're like, what do you think the deal with that license plate is? Yeah.
Nightman. But anyway, so
I want
he
that
now
license
has
plate,
that
by the
sweet
way.
car.
That's a sweet license plate. I'm sorry. I want to be the Nightman.
Sure. I want to be the ass man. No, sorry, that's an old David Letterman gag.
No, that's a Seinfeld gag. When Kramer's driving around with a license plate that says ass man. Because he got the proctologist license plate by mistake.
But it was also a Letterman gag because they found an ass man and they found another one that was boob man or something like that, and he did a live segment where he had the two guys meet and shake hands, and they did this triumphant music of the two meeting.
That sounds like a Letterman bit for sure, but I think of Seinfeld with that because I do love when Kramer's driving around and people are yelling, "Hey, ass man!" And he's just like, "You got that right."
Yeah, it's good stuff. But anyway, so he gets this sweet ride, and it's supposed to be like, this is your graduation present, essentially, from elder vampire to young vampire. Yeah. He has that car in this movie for about 2 days.
Yeah.
Because that's the car that totally gets totaled in this big car chase.
Yeah.
Which leads them to then steal a Houston police car. Holy mackerel!
This scene, and it's Darla who steals it, and I love Robert Shannon being like, "I can't believe you're doing this," and she's like, "I can't either," which I'm like, "That's such lazy screenwriting. Just have a character go.
It's lazy screenwriting.
Just have a character go. Even I don't know why I'm doing this."
Not only has she bought into the vampire thing, she's now like going, "Well, if it's to save a life, your buddy Ralph, I guess I'm living dangerously with you."
This takes me back to the Universal or Hammer days when it's like, we got 10 minutes left, so we really just got to wrap this sucker up. It doesn't matter if
That's
the characters
exactly what this is.
have to make sudden changes to themselves. It's just,
and we also have to jump to weird shit like the parents at home reading about my son is gay, hearing on the police scanner, they hear about the Nightman car.
Yeah.
And on the run.
They go, let's get in our car and go help him.
They hear that the car that they believe that their son is in is involved in a high-speed chase, so they decide to get in their station wagon and go help him.
We got to help our son.
Which means they're behind the whole way, and they're listening again while they're in the car. It's like, and now they've stolen a police car. They're like, oh, we guess we're now on that
beat
trail
of the car chase,
car.
we cut back to the parents hearing about it, and they're picking up the speed to get to this place.
Jesus.
It all ends in this graveyard, ultimately.
It ends at a church with a graveyard attached, because what McCarthy has decided is like, I will release your soul on sanctified ground. And they're talking to Ralph. They have abducted Ralph. Right. They take him into this church in the middle of the night. I guess they break in. They put him up on the altar, and they're about to stake him.
Well, he wants Grimsdyke to stake him, and Grimsdyke's like, I can't, man. That's That's too far.
Yeah, I can't hurt anybody. But he's like going, all right, fine, let me then. And he starts doing like, I put your soul to hell, whatever he's doing, like
and the doors
vampire
burst
Van
open
Helsing
though,
talk.
and it's Robert Sean Leonard doing kind of a legal, like Perry Mason sort of moment here.
Well, he's holding up. I think he got a hold of like one of the cops' badges,
And he goes,
because for
if
half
you
a
do
second
that,
he's pretending he's a cop.
you're
Yeah.
gonna go to jail for murder. And he's like, no, I won't. And then he does this, but he does this whole thing where it's like, well, how do you know he's a vampire? You've got vampire shit. Prove it. Try
Right.
the holy
and this
water.
is all fine. He goes,
Yeah.
look, if you guys are vampire hunters, have you even tested them first? He goes, what do you got? Holy water? And they douse him in, and he goes, oh, maybe it's a thing. He goes, what about the
puts the
cross? He goes,
garlic
maybe
on
he's a
him.
Jewish vampire.
I do love that. Actually, that line was very jokey, but kind of funny.
Yeah, and then he's
Maybe
like,
he's a
oh,
Jewish
I've got
vampire.
a string of garlic, and he puts it on and Ralph's is like, he starts breathing, and then like,
Yeah.
he has tape over his mouth, so he can't say anything in his
Right.
own stead.
And
So he's like taking big whiffs of the garlic, like, see, you got no
And I
problem
do like
with it.
David Warner going, well, if I stake him through the heart, that will prove he's a vampire. And Roger Lynch being like, yeah, that would kill anybody.
Yeah, I do like that. He goes, if you stake someone through the heart, it's going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're vampire or not. So you're basically about to go up for murder
Yeah.
if you continue.
Yeah. So, well, this is all bad news for them. And then so he's like, okay, well, I'll let him go. But then, of course, it's when Robert Sean Leonard gets next to the garlic, or they throw it at him, and he goes, that hurts. And then
Well,
there's
they
this beat of,
successfully
like,
get Ralph
Yeah.
out of the being tied up, and he's like, "Thanks, man, you did it."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Yeah, all right, great." And then the garlic comes into contact with Jeremy, and he does flinch.
Yeah.
And that McCarthy sees that, he's like, "You're the one."
No, I like
You're
that
the vampire.
David Warner just goes, "Rah!" Like he just starts screaming,
Yeah.
and it turns into this chase out into the graveyard, and he's got him at gunpoint.
At this point, the soundtrack does skip over to Yakety Sax.
It is a little bit. It
a
is a
good
little
choice.
bit that kind of, yeah. And he goes, this gun's got silver bullets in it. And, Jeremy, he's trying to be very, he goes, well, just let my friends go. And David Warner says, no dice. He's going to kill them too.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, this is where you're going like, okay, so
At
he's
the
just
end
a
here,
psycho.
David Warner as McCarthy is just crazy.
Yeah.
And Grimsdyke even realizes this, but it's sort of like, oh my God, he's lost his mind.
And then Robert Sean Leonard eventually gets the drop on him and picks him up. So he's lifting David Warner off his feet.
Use vampire strength.
And he just goes, dude, I'm not going to kill you. Like, I don't know what I have to do to prove it to you. I'm letting you go. And he's like, no, it's a trap. You are going to kill me. And creature of the night. And then the hot vampire shows back up. I didn't expect or need this, really, but...
Well, it is. I think it's just, again, they wanted to, since they're trying to give the vampire thing a sort of positive spin in this movie, they're like, she can't really be killed, or they did something stupid.
David
so
Warner
she just shows up like,
David Warner goes, you rose from the grave? And she's like, yeah. And that's it.
Yep.
That's as much as we know. He apparently did stake her, maybe, or something.
there's some implication here that Nora was a specific target all along too.
Yeah.
And maybe they've had past history. They really don't address it, but
Well, he and
but
MODOK definitely do, right? When MODOK shows up here.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
He and MODOK do, but
Yeah.
Nora is like, I think has also been a target, possibly an ex-romantic thing or something. And anyway, so Nora shows up and
Yeah.
and
And-
so she's all right. And then MODOK shows up,
Yeah.
and he's like, McCarthy, you're an idiot, and you've always got us wrong about the vampires. We're awesome
And he
people.
starts
and
shooting at
whatever.
MODOK and it does nothing.
He's like, but I had silver bullets in this.
And this is another one where he goes, I don't understand. He shot you with silver bullets. He goes, once again, if you had read the book, you would have seen that that's actually not a thing. That's like my favorite. I do like that runner of just like,
Where they
it
keep
actually
coming back to,
was
look.
in the book if you had read that.
Yeah.
You would have
That was
seen,
page 182, if you
Yeah.
even bothered to get
like
that far.
the answer to every situation that comes up did have an answer in the book. He just didn't read it. That's funny to
Right.
me. That's just
Yeah, it's
once
like Greatest American Hero. If
It
only
is.
he had read,
the instructions.
the instructions.
God, I
if he
remember
hadn't lost them in the desert.
similar to this movie. As a kid, the premise of Greatest American Hero was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever heard.
Also, just a great premise.
Yeah,
I mean, just
but I
built
remember being
in,
like,
you could see
he
all
has
the plots.
superpowers, but he didn't read the instructions. That was just because I think like 5-year-old me was, of course, not used to the deconstruction of something. So the first time I was seeing it was like, oh my god, that's amazing. I
Believe
loved
it
it.
or not,
Oh.
John's walking on air.
Love it, man.
He never thought he could feel so free.
Oh yeah, loved it. And so this is where they call in the vampire ladies who just take David Warner aside, bite him, and then he comes back. He goes, "Yeah, I guess it'll be a vampire now."
This is literally how it goes. I mean,
Yeah, we're just wrapping
he's
things
not,
up.
He's not buying the story because he's still crazy. So
Yeah.
MODOK goes, you know what, McCarthy? This is what you get for being such a dick. And all of a sudden
gift,
he has
actually.
a whole.
Like you said, I want to be a vampire in this world.
I know. Suddenly he has a whole bunch of these prom girl vampires take him behind a tomb, and they bite him, and he instantly walks out going, "Hey everybody!" It's like the quick change of personality. He's like going, "Grimstyke, I gotta tell you, it swings being a vampire. I'm loving it." He gets turned in 45 seconds.
Yeah, and so MODOK goes, "Hey man, you could come with me, live your life as a vampire," and he's just like, I got school tomorrow. That's a good response, actually. I do like that.
Yeah,
I do have
he's
school
like,
tomorrow.
"No, I got school tomorrow, but thanks, man."
He's gonna stay with his friends, and right here is when the parents roll up, and they go, "Hey, look, we know you're gay, and we're cool with it." And he goes, "Oh, this is actually my girlfriend right here. She's
Darla."
Yeah," and they're like, "Oh yeah," and then, "My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades."
Essentially, I can't remember. Does he tell them he's a vampire, or is it just like, "I'm not gay, I've got a girlfriend"?
They roll up after all the vampire talk has happened and everybody else is dispersed, and then they say, "We know you're gay." He goes, "No, I'm not," and they're like, "Oh, great. Well, yeah." And he goes like, "I think you guys are really gonna like her." Like that's like the last line of the movie, and then it's just then my future's so.
And then we get for the second time the Timbuktu song,
Shades, which is a great
also
80s
known
pop
as
tune.
the theme song to Head of the Class.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do love me some Head of the Class. I was very excited that HBO Max put that up, the whole series.
The classic Howard Hessman years are great, and not that I didn't like.
I love Billy Connolly, but he's not Howard Hessman, and I had gotten
he's just
used
not Howard
to that.
Hessman.
Yeah, that was the problem. Just isn't
Plus,
the same.
by the time of those later seasons, the actors who were 28 playing
40,
high school students are now 43, and it's less.
Yeah. I gotta go do my homework. Sure.
They really should. All these school shows should just do like every season graduate the previous class except for the teacher.
It's
and
tough,
bring in a whole new class.
It's really tough to do
characters.
that. Like Glee tried to kind of do that, and it wasn't great. And
well, plus all their actors were, leaving or committing suicide or dying or whatever. It's just sad.
A couple of them did die. Yes.
So anyway, my best friend is a vampire.
My best friend is a vampire.
Very, very, very slight.
Very slight. But actually, I saw the first review on IMDb. I think nailed my opinion of the movie here. If I just the title of it. Where is this? Oh, now it's
this
gone.
film
Never
is
mind.
more fun than good, but it's definitely worth a view.
That's it. More fun than good. I completely agree with.
Yep.
I had a good time. Like
everyone all these reviews are saying cute and delightful, and it's all that.
There's not. I mean, you can start nitpicking, but it always goes back to, but what is this movie trying to be, man? Like, yeah, it's got problems, but like, how much can you hold it against a movie called My Best Friend is a Vampire? Like,
I will also say that I honestly liked the performance of the guy who played Ralph. The guy is named Evan Mirand.
I thought he was very good. I thought he and Robert Sean Leonard were very good together.
When you look at his career, though, I mean, he worked, but small. Yeah. It's all small.
Yeah,
he really didn't take off.
Well, this movie was far, far from a hit.
No, I know.
Yeah, so I think that, but it is now considered kind of a cult treasure. So, and I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that it's a cute movie.
Everyone's like putting it up there with Once Bitten.
Yep.
And
which I'm actually I realized that was a mistake.
Vamp.
I realized it was a mistake. We didn't cover Once Bitten. We should have.
We didn't cover Once Bitten or Vamp.
Yeah, we probably should have. Because if this and Teen Wolf count, then Once Bitten and counts, right?
Yep.
But anyway, maybe we can do a bonus episode or something someday. Well, Brendan, so we say, yeah, watch this if you're just looking for some sort of mindless,
Headache
fluff.
movie. I mean, not headache movie. Hangover movie.
Oh, this is a grade A hangover movie, 100%.
This one whistles past you and you hardly know it was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, okay.
But it doesn't negatively impact you either. You just go, eh.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, we're going to continue on this track next week because
I love this track.
Because it's going to be another slight monster movie because our old pal Jason Bateman, why he just might be a Teen Wolf 2.
I don't think Teen Wolf 2 is even as good as My Best Friend is a Vampire, and I love Jason Bateman.
But it's a hair-raising comedy starring Jason
I wonder.
Bateman. Jason Bateman, Kim Darby, John Aston.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, good actors.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, once again,
This one's pretty notorious.
Yeah, I don't know that I've only seen sections of it. I don't think I've ever actually watched the movie.
I've never watched it.
But I will say,
I've heard many reviews of it on
but
bad movie.
I am wondering
things.
if it will. I'm sure it will be much worse than the first Teen Wolf. I know that, but I'm wondering if there will be any of the same, like Michael J. Fox making it watchable, of Jason Bateman making it watchable, because another incredibly likable actor.
Unbelievably incredible.
Yeah.
And even at this point, I mean, that guy was, as I've said before, as a child actor, he was someone that I was like, oh, he's good. I like this guy. He's very funny.
He always had a confidence. He always just, even like as a little kid on Silver Spoons, you're like, oh, this guy he's just here. He's ready to be a star.
Yep. And on Just Your Move. But
oh yeah, it's your move.
It's your move.
Yeah. Which is delightful.
Which I did watch all of the one season.
It was cute. Talk about another thing that's slight and cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
It's Bateman. That's that.
It's Bateman.
I mean, I think now that's where the movie's become an oddity. Is he has become such a big star that I think now what was once just this embarrassing thing on his resume is now like this oddity of like, oh yeah, Jason Bateman was on a Teen Wolf
nothing's better than listening to like the Smartless podcast with him and Will Arnett and Sean Hayes and them ribbing him about Teen Wolf 2.
I mean, one of my favorite podcasts is just the camaraderie and chemistry of those three.
Those three constantly
delight.
Taking each other down is hilarious.
It's exactly what my view of friendship is, which is just near constant ragging.
Yes.
So yeah.
But anyway, so that's next week. I'm looking.
Teen
I don't
Wolf.
know. I can't say I'm looking
Teen
forward
Wolf
to it.
TOO. He's a Teen Wolf 2.
If nothing else, it will cap Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
We won't be dealing with a 3, 4, whatever.
No, they never.
Then we'll get back around to what really counts, and that's 8 more howlings.
Yeah, man. I think the Teen Wolf franchise looks better and better with every Howling movie.
Oh
boy. Yeah, keep in mind, My Best Friend is a Vampire, the Teen Wolf movies, these are kind of respites actually from some stuff on this show.
If something is like this, as we keep saying, slight but unoffensively,
man, I'll take
passively
that over,
entertaining.
I'll take that
over a genuinely horrible.
I mean, all of this, we're still trying to get the taste of Howling 3 out of our mouths. So
man, that movie.
All right. So Teen Wolf 2 on the show next week. But that is going to wrap things up for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
And they all live in Houston, Texas. Represent! Yo, 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 yo!